At this point, it is my pleasure to announce my donation of 5 billion naira. Thank you so very much for being part of this incredible initiative. I'm honored, General. Thank you, Excellency. Thank you, Mr. President. I will now hand over to General Agwai, a representative of General Q.I. Danjuma, to also announce his contribution. General, over to you.
Your Excellency, the President and Commander-in-Chief of Nigerian Armed Forces, former heads of state, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, there are too many people, I don't know where to start, but I bring you greetings from my professional grandfather, and I will explain. When General T.Y. Danjuma called me and directed me to represent him, he wished he was here and he had planned to be here, but because of ill health, he couldn't make it, and he directed me to represent him. I say he's my grandfather, my professional grandfather, because he told me, and I have also known, that he mentored the author of the book that we are launching today. And the author of the book mentored me as a cadet in 1970. And that relationship continued, that I served under him as a staff officer. One time I was his military assistant, and just as his father, General T.Y. Danjuma, mentored him, he became Chief of Army Staff. He also mentored me, and I was lucky to become Chief of Army Staff. And today, I count myself very lucky that I am in a square. General Yakubu Gowon, who I earned my commission when he was the president of this country under him, is here. General Babangida, who mentored me from cadethood up to where I reached, is here. The chairman of today's occasion, who thought me worthy, he made me Chief of Army Staff and Chief of Defense Staff. So I am in the midst of those who have meant so much in my growth, including my constant mentor, General Abdulsalami Abubakar. Before I read the comment by my professional grandfather, I want to also thank heavens for the opportunity to come very close to the governor, to the former president of Sierra Leone, Koroma.
If he really truly loves Nigeria, he should set Nigeria free. If he becomes a civilian, as the army seems to be telling him to do now, it will make things a lot easier, because it will be one civilian against the other. A man with a loaded gun, it takes a lot of courage to confront him the way God has had to make me do in the last few days, in the last few weeks. But if he did not want a transition, why order an election? Why raise hope of
government to Chief Obafemi Awolowo? The idea was to release him from prison, make him prime minister, and in the hope that Nigeria would become a better place. That is actually how.
So it was really the Yorubas and their leader that were going to benefit.
Oh, absolutely.
From the insinuation that he was an Igbo.
No, certainly not.
Okay. Certainly. Your Excellency, we have
And not only that, and I think because a lot of things have been said about this. Who actually halted the coup? Aguiyi Ironsi in Lagos, an Igbo. Emeka Odumegwu in Kano, an Igbo. The Igbos halted the coup. How can it be at the same time an Igbo coup halted by Igbos? There's something odd about that.
Thank you, Your Excellency. The next question is
Your Excellency, I would like to stand right here and thank you so much for what you did for Nigeria. A lot of people, they actually don't know, not aware. You are the one that established the private sector in Nigeria. Anybody in private sector today that is somebody was actually created by you. Reason why you gave us licenses, I remember that we used to struggle to go and get licenses through Indians. Your Excellency, in 1986, you abolished the requirement of import licensing, and that is why we grew, to the highest level. I remember one day you gave almost 30 of us banking licenses. You also took 5 Nigerians and asked them to go and pay 1 million naira each for block of oil, oil blocks. Your Excellency, I can continue to count on and on for the singular acts that you did. That is why Nigeria has more private sector than the entire African continent. It is only in Nigeria where actually government contribution to GDP is only 15%. The rest is coming from the private sector. So I want to thank you, and I'm sure future leaders will continue to do so, because you are one leader that realized right from the beginning that you cannot clap with one hand. And that's why you took government on this side and private sector on this side and you clap. So, Your Excellency, I know that this project is going to, with what I have seen, is going to take minimum, I think, about 4 years to deliver this. And Your Excellency, I want to contribute 2 billion naira every year for the next 4 years, which is 8 billion. And if the project drags more than 4 years, I will continue to pay 2 billion every year. Thank you very much.
Always on point.
President, Commander-in-Chief, Senator Tinubu, my brother, my good friend, General Babangida. I know you since 1979. You made me what I am today. Without you, I could have been a dead man for a long time. He brought me up. Through you, I knew all the military governors in Nigeria. I traveled to Sierra Leone, traveled to Liberia, all the GOCs commanded, General Bakut, all of them. How can I thank God without also thanking you? You have no enemy. When you have problem with Abacha, I went to Abacha. Say, why are you quarreling with Babangida? I have problem with Abiola. You didn't tell him. You told me you had changed the army barrack to your name. Army barrack Abuja here. Then I drove to Mina. Yeah, said this is what Abacha said. He said, I'm happy to hear that. You have no enemy. Babangida has no enemy anywhere. All the big men, as Dangote said, he brought all of us up. It's share. It's share. Now I'm very grateful. I'm going to give you 500 million naira. Oh, what you are giving us, it's the first time we are doing something for you. May God bless you. Bless you. Keep this one.
man of his word, the check is with me. I promise I'll hand it over. Mr. President, sir, the board.
Some of this rally make my blood pressure go up.
I hope that Nigeria wins. I'm never going to wish any president evil so that I can say I told you so. No, I won't wish them evil. I hope. You see, I'm not praying. There's no point. I can't pray for Nigeria to be fine. I only hope that Nigeria wins and Nigerians win. Because if you choose a dodgy doctor who has a dodgy record, who has, all sort of accusations leveled against him, to say this doctor, we think he's done this, or this doctor, this surgeon, yes, he's a senior surgeon, he's the most whatever surgeon, but there are a lot of accusations leveled against him. If you choose him to operate on you, and you tell me to pray for you that it doesn't kill you surgery, what's the point? I can't pray. You might make it, you might not make it. My prayer won't change anything. So I hope Nigeria and Nigerians win during Tinubu's 4 years. Thank you.
And I am ready to die defending Nigeria in whatever way. When it is God's time for us to go, it is
you took my time to talk. You are ready to defend Nigeria. I gave you my time.
No, I'm coming.
Alexi, hold on. You already started.
What I'm saying, defending Nigerians is this.
I gave him my time and he's using it to defend Nigeria.
No, sorry. I'm sorry.
Don't forget, that state is now an oil-producing state. So they now have derivation, if you are not aware. So if you want to speak for anybody, please do not defend a character like Abiola. Please do not.
Okay, let me respond to him. 1 second.
Do not defend a character like Abiola. Do not.
All right, thank you, Mohammed.
The people of that state.
Can I respond to him?
No.
Then go to hell. Rudolph, go to hell.
All right.
Rudolph, I've never seen this part of him before. My God.
Tinubu is a criminal, yes, of course, a categorical grade 1 criminal. The only person more criminal than Tinubu in Nigeria is probably Babangida. But he's a criminal, and is he fit for purpose? Absolutely not. Should Tinubu be the president of Nigeria? Categorical no. Is there a better option than him? That is subjective. So show me who he is.
All right, welcome to the show. My name is Rudolph Okonkwo. It's Saturday, February the 22nd, 2025. Nigeria is buzzing all over social media because we have so many things going on as usual, but this particular weekend is special. The long-awaited book of Ibrahim Babangida finally dropped. And so many things in the book that are making people, especially younger people who did not know the history of their country, to lose it. I was told that there are wars going on social media. So we're going to talk about that. One of the first things he said that is out in the news is about Abiola. Babangida finally confessed that MKO Abiola won the election of 1993. Which is something that we've always known, but a lot of people are hearing it for the first time, or they are believing it for the first time now, and that Babangida was the one that said it. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what he said about the 1966 coup. It has remained one of those issues that refuse to go away. That conversation will happen. Also, the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, had this encounter with Natasha Akpoti, who is representing Kogi Central at the Senate. So we're going to have that conversation on what happened between Akpabio and Natasha. In the international arena, we have Donald Trump doing what he does best, which is causing disruption. That's the fine way that his people are saying or describing what he's doing, causing disruption across the world, starting with Ukraine and down to other places in the world. So we're going to talk about it as part of this show. So this is going to be a very interesting show, and it will last long. I hope everybody is ready for that. So I will say thank you so much for joining us, all of you, those in the studio, those on the comment section, and I will bring you in a minute.
Go, because these things are all, the tapes are available, the records are there. In fact, only about 2 weeks ago, I saw a set of the records again. The transcripts are available. But we talked about the Nigerian situation, and certainly, at the end, everybody says, oh, you told them this, you did that. The fact was that our case was so clear that I actually believed at the end of Aburi that the problem was not Gawan, but probably some ambassadors in Lagos who were pressing for something else. Because we understood each other. We agreed on every single point. The drafting was, in fact, my chief secretary with 2 other chief secretaries from the other side. They said, no, no, no. And drafted and agreed. We looked at it, we agreed.
Many of the key figures in this book and who shaped the history of our country are here with us today. And that tells another story all by itself. And that is something truly unique about Nigeria. Our ability to move beyond the past, no matter how bitter and no matter how adversarial our past relationships may have been, and to still come together. So seated amongst us here today is General Yakubu Gowon, who became Nigeria's head of state at the age of 32 and led the country for 9 years. His government was overthrown in 1975 by a coup involving the then Brigadier Olusegun Obasanjo and the then Brigadier Theophilus Danjuma, and the author himself, I confirm, the then Lieutenant Colonel Babangida, who was then commander of the newly formed Armored Corps. Also involved in that coup were the then Lieutenant Colonels Muhammadu Buhari, Lieutenant Colonel Sani Bello, who is here also, and Lieutenant Colonel Sani Sami. Yet here we are today with former President Obasanjo, General Danjuma, and of course the author himself present, not as adversaries of the author, but as witnesses to history, celebrating a fellow statesman.
Right. Welcome everybody, and it's nice to have you all today. A lot of people have been waiting for this day, and I appreciate all of you. Tony, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Greetings, everybody.
Yeah, Chim, welcome to the show. Righteous Man, welcome to the show.
Yeah, Dr. Rudolph, thank you. Good evening from Nigeria, the dark capital, of the world. There is no electricity, and the heat ratio is so much. Sickness everywhere. In my house, almost everybody is down because of the level of heat. There's no light.
I'm sorry to hear that, righteous man. We'll get to you. Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you, and good morning.
All right. Mr. James, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And I think, did I call you?
Thank you.
All right. So what we're going to do today is a little bit different. We want to, because this book is a lot, it's a lot in it, and a lot of people have to weigh in on some things. So we're going to try to use the first 2 hours to deal with Babangida's book, different aspects of it, and then we will, touch on Natasha and Akpabio, and maybe the second part of the show we deal with other topics in the news. So let's go straight to the point. And I want to know, anybody here read the book yet? Tony, did you read it?
No, I haven't, but I have seen clips of it. I have listened to it. I did listen to General Babangida, the book review by Professor former Vice President, and a few comments here and there. And I've also listened on some other platforms. So I have some perspective of what some of the things that the book about.
All right. We'll come to you and get your view. Let me ask just round and see if anybody here read the book. Never can tell. Mr. James, you are the historian that we have around now. Have you read the book?
The book is not worth reading. Don't waste time. It's not worth reading.
Okay.
There are better sources to get information on Nigerian history than, these are wishy-washy, I don't know what to call them. A congregation of failures who plunged the country into this terrible mess we are grappling with today, giving their own side of the story from their own perspective. I will not read it. It's not worth reading.
Or you will not even read it if you have it.
No, I have better sources of getting information on Nigeria past.
All right. Let's see. Man of Prestige, welcome to the show.
I'm here. Thank you very much. I've not read the book, but I have, I've been able to infuse and know much about what actually transpired. Like Mr. James said, I'm not going to read the book because the gathering was the gathering of maggots and flies together. So I have no interest in reading the book, but I haven't, I've been informed about what's going on in that, that's a treason. I mean, in a same country, you can't have something like that happening, but we have crime-infected countries. That's why we have those kind of gathering. He should have been in prison right now for treason, and we are talking about him. So that shows you what Nigeria is all about. So I'm not going to read it, but I'm going to gather my sources about it. I mean, I've been gathering sources. Thank you.
Are you going to talk about it?
Oh yeah, I'm going to talk about it, but I have information. But I'm saying I'm not going to go in detail and read it because it's nonsense.
Okay.
It's a crime.
All right, Paul, welcome to the show.
Doctor, good morning. I had opportunity to read year and year. I tried to talk to my in-law, who is almost around me. Is in the States right now.
Azubike is in the States. Paul, can you hear me? All right, we lost Paul. Okay, righteous man, you don't have you don't have light, you don't have power. Do you have the book?
Good evening, and all the panelists and those in the comment section. I will be the last person to read that book. If at all I see it, I will burn it. It is of no use, of no value to me, because a family friend of mine lost 2 people during June 12th. Also Abiola. He lost 2 people in his house as a result of that evil act of the military led by Babangida and co. So that book is of no value, and I don't encourage any right-thinking person to read that book because it's rubbish. Why is he telling us it's not Igbo coup? After how many years? After how many years? the likes of Obasanjo, IBB, Abdul Salam, they're all aware that that coup was not an Igbo coup. But they have allowed that falsehood to be carried and taught. And that is the major thing that have caused enmity between the Igbos and other parts of Nigeria. And these people allowed this falsehood to be peddled against the innocent Igbos. And now, after how many years, 50-something years, is coming to tell us that it was not Igbo coup. So what does, can they change history? Many people have died with that thought, with that false knowledge and false history, that Igbos committed a crime against the rest of Nigerian people, which were false. So revealing it now, it doesn't heal any wound and it doesn't change anything. It's just that the truth, no matter how you suppress it and pedal it, one day it will surface. The truth is that Igbos have been given a bad name. Igbos have been given a bad name for us to be seen as the worst people on earth, and which we are not. I'm a proud Igbo man. I love being Igbo, and I will die being Igbo. And I am proud of my race and my people. We are hardworking people, and we are one of the best species of humanity on earth. So those that are alive, that gather to celebrate and donate 17 billion naira in the face of this hardship that we're facing, they cannot donate that money to alleviate the suffering of the poor masses, the Alamajari that have taken over the north, the kidnapping that is in the entire nation. They are donating it for a frivolous book that have no impact in the life of a common Nigerian. I mean, it's a shame that the class of Nigerians whom we see as leaders gather to celebrate and clap for what should be a day of doom, a day of regret in the life of this nation. I was thinking that as that book was reviewed and he was making such a confession, that man would have been arrested immediately. But those who are supposed to give order of his arrest are those who are celebrating him and clapping for him and donating money. So Nigeria is what it is, and it will continue to be so. Look at the budget of 2025. Are you aware, Rudolph, that the entire East, 5 states of the Eastern region, with a population about 42 million people, were excluded in federal government budget in 2025? Can you imagine? Every other political region were represented in that budget, and federal government projects were mentioned. Only the Southeast were not allocated for any federal government project in 2025 budget, running into trillions. And tomorrow you said the likes of Nnamdi Kanu should not agitate for Biafra. And tomorrow you said the likes of Simon Ekpa will not come up to agitate for Biafra. It is the Nigerian state that is creating this agitation. And there is no way you will hide the truth. We have been marginalized to the extent that those who represent the Southeast in the government dance to the music being played by their paymasters, which are the Northerners and the Southwest political elites. This is unacceptable. So I really implore you, Dr. Rudolph, to talk about the budget, the Southeast exclusion from 2025 budget. Is it the normal thing that should be practiced in a nation we call one Nigeria? Thank you.
All right, righteous man, thank you. On the issue of the budget, maybe another time we'll discuss it, but we have to start with whatever is in the budget has to start with your own representatives. You have people in the Southeast who are in the government. They are ministers who turned in projects that the government approved at the federal level. You have your number 6 man who is from the Southeast in the National Assembly. What are they doing? That's where you channel that argument first. But let's concentrate on this topic, which is about Babangida's book. And let's begin the conversation fully by talking to Ike. Ike, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody. We're happy to be here again this Saturday. My brother, I am not a good reader and I have not read the book, but just like every other person I've said, we just have the clips from what the man who wrote the book said and from other commentary, from other television channels, and and at the end of the day, at least most Nigerians already known what was written in the book. We already know what, those things he said. But for me, the takeaway is for the fact that finally he came out to make that confession and confirm it, own it, and accepted it. I think that my own personal opinion that Abiola should be recognized and called the former president of Nigeria, and every other entitlement that the past president of Nigeria are receiving, Abiola and his family should also receive the same. He's not going to bring him back. But also, we should also remember that national healing and reconciliation was done in South Africa. And if we continue to peddle this anger against one another, I don't know how the healing is going to come. The healing is not going to come. If you arrest Babangida and put him in prison, what has we get? He's an dying old man. Most of them also is going to die. So I think that for the public, for people who are younger in 1993, for them to hear maybe things that they've been hearing before about June 12 and other things, I think it's time for them to really understand from what transpired. So I think Nigeria, for us as Nigerian nation, as people, as a country and as people, who are living, most of us that are here living outside the world, and there are so many places around the world where so many atrocities have been committed by so many people. And I think that if really we want to heal that nation, we should begin to see what South African people saw. The truth and reconciliation is what is important. If people can be able to come out boldly to say the truth, speak the truth, let us know what transpired, what happened, and let it not be hearsay or they say or me say or the other person say. The only place that I was really kind of upset when he was trying to blame Abacha on the issue of the whole thing. Abacha is dead. Abacha is not here to defend himself. And I should have hoped that he should have owned everything instead of mentioning Abacha, because Abacha is not here to say, oh, it's true or it's not. So I think that generally that Abiola's family, Nigerian government or Nigerian people should recognize Abiola as the former president of Nigeria, because even when he went even to detail in his own book, talking about how Abiola won and the percentages and the vote that he got, automatically he knew that Abiola won the election. So I think that that's not healing. Should be that the family of Abiola should be recognized as the former president of Nigeria, and then every benefit and every entitlement the former president of Nigeria have been getting, Abiola family should, equally get the something, because the people who did all this Maradona work, they have not come out to let us know, even though most of us know or knew that he won the election. But also, we should also remember that we are dealing with the military. It wasn't a democratic setup kind of situation. But even in the democratic setup of a situation in 2023, what happened? What kind of killing that is happening in Nigeria that happened during his time, that this present government is not killing Nigeria? How many Nigerians die every month in this present day Nigeria? So we should also try to, remember that this killing of Nigeria, there are so many ways that the government of Nigeria has been killing Nigerians in so many ways. No single Nigerian in this living earth today will not say he has got somebody, friends or family or neighbor or colleague, that have lost somebody somewhere because of this kind of government that we have in Nigeria from up to this time. People are being killed this present democratic process. Do we even have democracy in Nigeria? People are being killed. People are being kidnapped. The same politicians, they are the same people that are doing it. So I think that if really we want to be honest ourselves, we'll begin to see how we can heal. If South Africa can overcome what happened in South Africa, and if Nigerians are genuinely and honestly are ready to do the same thing, everyone that has participated in any way to hurt any sections of this country called Nigeria. I think from this book now, I should expect that people should be coming out one by one and begin to confess the crime that you have committed against Nigerian people. And at the end of the day, the same people, government that is in power right now, should also be bold enough to tell us who won the 2023 election. Because up to today, we don't know who won the election. So it's still the same thing. So I think that our anger and our frustration is real. And every one of us has every good opinion to say whatever we want to say about Babangida and his regime. But at the end of the day, how can we continue? Should we continue like this? Is it going to solve the problem?
All right. Thank you, Ike. Thank you so much. Chim, Wayne, what do you think?
What do I think about
the book?
The confession of an involved man.
Yeah.
How do we term him now? Anyway,
and then what do we do? Because that's the next thing. Most people have come to the realization that this is what happened. Then what else?
Anyway, first and foremost, I will deviate from everybody. I will buy the book. I will read the book. I have a soft copy. I'm looking at it on another screen right here. I'm just not good at reading from screens. I like to read hard copy books and mark things.
Old school.
It doesn't, old school. It doesn't do us any favors if we say we're not going to read it. We're not reading it to make him happy. We're not reading it to justify, there's nothing exactly new that we haven't heard that we are either previously in the realm of a conspiracy that he's confirming now. Abiola winning the election was not a conspiracy. We knew Abiola won the election. Sometime last year or 2 years ago, Professor Humphrey, who of course we all know should have the results himself, already came out to say Abiola won the election. So it's not anything new. But we are reading it. Sometimes you read, if you're a lawyer, for instance, you're not going to say you will not read a document that your opponent, the other judge, the other lawyer put out. You're going to read it so that you can be able to, when you go to the courtroom, you know how to tackle the situation. So I think Nigerians are just being hysterical when you say you're not going to read the book. You read the book, you don't read the book. A large Dangote has already dashed him millions of money.
No, billions.
So I don't know. Rudolph, I don't know what
8 billion.
Billions.
8 billion. Yeah.
8 billion. Wow. I don't know. This is interesting. We escorted some people into this world, though. Some people came to this world, and some of us just escorted them into the world. But anyway, I digress. So I think, yes, there are a lot of. I haven't read the book fully. I've seen snippets. I'm just reading through the chapter 1 now. After reading the prologue and the Gowon's forward to the book. So I will try and take time and keep reading it. But like I said, I prefer to read hard copy. But some of the things I'm seeing already from there, I think this is a confession of a man who eternity is calling. That's the way I see. Mortality is calling him, like I keep saying. And he just wants to free his conscience a little bit. But being the man that he is, that we know, having been tagged the evil genius and tagged Maradona, I sense he's trying to dribble himself also, because like we saw where he poignantly accused Abacha of being responsible for that. In fact, he lied, from what I heard, that he was in Katsina when the elections were annulled. And I'm asking myself, is this same Babangida that I came on national TV, network news, after network news or before network news, and announced that the Armed Forces Ruling Council, as they were called then, had decided to suspend the election initially, and then later on, a few days came out, he annulled it, justified how it was in the best interest of the nation, and in one of his media, this thing that if anybody still remembers, I still remember, people said, the day he was saying that thing, was he on drugs? He was so agitated. He was so. If anybody, I still remember those things vividly. And so the man is telling us today that the guy who was not number one, the guy who was just chief of defense staff, is the one who annulled the election. I don't know how true that is. But again, as everything Nigerian, our ancestor Abacha has gone through a lot. Every time we receive alert from the US, they say Abacha sending us the alert. I've often asked, how come this Abacha's alert never finishes? Now, we have taken this our lives into the realm of accusing Abacha of being responsible for annulling G12. I don't know. Maybe someday somebody will tell us that it was because of Abacha, the fear that Abacha might come back in the form of Peter Obi. That's why INEC, what is that, Beavers got switched off. Maybe Abacha's spirit switched it off also. So Abacha is responsible for a lot of things that I don't know. I don't know whether God will be merciful to him, or because of all this, his complicity in all manner of things. Maybe they're going to send him to the hottest part of hell. I don't know. You know, Rudolph, you've been to hell and back, so you probably will tell us. But anyways, so I think we need such this thing. We need such literature. However dishonest it may be, we need such literature. But you see, the good thing is you will compare that literature with another literature for those of us who want to read. And then you can be able to make deductions, but you can't just wave it off with anger, tell yourself you're not going to read it, and all those things. It doesn't show the sense of somebody who wants to learn. And then I think I align with Ike, even though I think to an extent you could say, because June 12 is not just all about Abiola. Yes, he paid the ultimate price for it, but it was also about the fact that the will and vote of Nigerians was trampled upon. So it's not just about Abiola. Abiola was just the figure. It's just like 2023. It's not about Peter Obi. It's about Nigerians. It's about that Nigerians wanted something, and Nigerians were denied that thing, because we always denominate this whole electoral and political process to individuals. No. What about Nigeria? What about you? What about me? What about if there was going to be a trajectory my life would have taken, and because of the annulment of June 12, that thing has been, I might not be able to realize it. So we need to stop looking at these things from the prism of the political actors themselves and look at it from the larger perspective. I have a family member who died during what Righteous Man rightly tagged, Igbo's tagged as also Abiola. This man was going to church, and then, and then he was running and fell into a ditch. The ditch that destroyed his leg. It was a serious matter. He was carried from that ditch home. And then his leg started swelling, poor medical process. Eventually, his family, fearing that Nigeria was going to have a civil war, Igbos were leaving in droves from Lagos and going home. They forcefully took this man home, and this man died on the way home. He didn't even get to the village. He died. So that was an untimely death. That was a life cut short because of somebody annulling an election and the consequences that came out of that election. So it's not just all about Abiola. Yes, his family hasn't recovered from that. He lost his wife. His family businesses got decimated and all that. Yes, but I look at it from the larger picture of a nation. A nation's trajectory, a nation's pathway was destroyed. And I will end here. Option A4 was a wonderful electoral process that a Nigerian came up with. This is something that would have gone into political history today. If that election has stood, people have started studying option A4. Professor Humphrey Moss would have become a major political theorist. Other African nations probably would have started trying to adopt option A4. That was also something Nigeria lost from. So, how are we going to correct all of that? I don't know how we're going to exercise the ghost of June 12 and the consequences of things that came out of it. But hey, here I am, everything Nigeria, we always get it in bits and pieces. So I don't know.
All right, Tim, thank you so much. Let's go back to Paul. Paul may give us a solution how we can destroy the ghost of June 12. Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, I have very, very many stories, memories about June 12, but maybe I will leave that one for another time. Maybe like late in the evening, I will talk that side. I also have the privilege of seeing the soft copy, which my in-law asked me if I'm interested in and everything. But I just felt within me that the stories, some of us knew the real story. And from the little that we've seen and everything, it just makes me laugh. Doctor, there's an American man that happened to be a pedophile in 1976. He fled to Sweden. Sweden don't have treaty with America for repatriation. He fled to Sweden. 2016, he just walked to Switzerland and he was caught. They repatriated him back to America. He's 79 years old. Straight up, he went to jail. Is that not what we hear the word, the long arm of the law we caught up with you? You understand? This is IBB that will talk about Gulf win, the money that we make on the Gulf War, 12 point something billion. You understand? The young captains, major, Mamam Vasa. IBB have so many things. But see the way IBB is celebrated and everything. Doctor, if Dangote put 8 billion on maintenance scattered around the 6 geopolitical zones, if Dangote can put those money for maintenance, we will love Dangote trucks when you see them around the roads of Nigeria. No, they won't do that because if Dangote truck buy anybody on the road, nothing happened. You know, when big man hit somebody in Nigeria, they will say, "I be vice president for Illuminatic court or Boni court." So we accept defeat before the battle. That's how we run. But you and I know in this part of our world, we find it so happy when we sue the state. When we sue the state, we make money. You see Delta Airline with the crash the other day. Willingly on their own, Delta Airline is giving everybody $30,000. This is how system work. You understand? The big wins is what people fight. But the big wins in our country, we celebrate them for doing the wrong thing. But what they don't know, they are raising another set of people who will do like that. You see all what Yaya Bello did? These are young men. You see what somebody like Dimeji Bankole did? These are young men, younger than me, of age, when they were in power. Guess what? The next 20, 30, 40 years, they will do more than IBB because they don't learn anything. They understand that they're going to celebrate them very well. And it's just so painful. You see what Abiola Obasanjo thought? Oh, prepare, people going to criticize you. You understand? It's just funny because Obasanjo too with his 16.9 billion on power project, nothing happened. So that's the type of country we run. Nobody investigates you. Nobody do anything. They celebrate you when you loot a lot and everything. You take all type of chieftaincy title and everything. They couldn't even understand that, okay, let me even use this money to build a primary school, no, a secondary school. Neither they are building presidential library. You understand? Even though if we have library that is working today, how many people really use this library? The way the system has been bastardized, that does not mean that library is not good. But it's a shame. Nobody will even criticize. You see, among governors, ministers, ex-president, and everything, we are not growing a nation like that. We see these things, we learn from these things in a very barbaric way. You understand? We do things in a very mediocre way. And we cannot grow a nation. We can't grow as a people when we do things like that. IBB come out to tell us all these things about Abiola and everything. Then people want to read the book. You understand? They want to say, IBB have so many things in his plate. So many things in his plate. And everything. So when I saw it and everything, I just shake my head. I tried to talk to my in-law briefly about it and everything. He was just laughing. He said, how bad Nigeria could be, in as much as we're supposed to be in the majority. But in Nigerian context, we happen to be in the minority because we'll just nag in our bedroom. But if we go outside, I believe they're a big men na their way and everything. But we are in the majority. You know, like they say there's something Jim Wobo said. He said in political science, they say minority we have their say, but majority we have their way. But in our own case in Nigeria now, the minority, the so-called leaders who happen to be minority, they have their say and their way. You understand? So the minority can't even have their say. Because if you are beating me, I'm supposed to be the one who will be crying. But in this case now, the people who are beating you, they are the one crying. They are still crying. They still want more relevance. They still need more power. If everybody can go to IBB, they want to contest for governors. They were looking for ministerial position, PAMSEC, president. If they can go to his hilltop and everything, what do you expect? Then he will become a statesman where he want to set presidential library like the likes of Clinton, the likes of Abiola, and the likes, were a laughing stock. It's just so funny the way we do things. The kind of precedents we are creating for our kids. Doctor, there's something you say all the time that I like. Just imagine what will happen in the next 100 years if these people look at us. I could remember many years in the soft side when my dad used to beat me when I operate his TV as a young boy. You know, coincidentally, the same me bought the TV for my dad. My dad said, I can't operate it. This one look like computer. I said, Daddy, it doesn't amigo spoil it. Now you go operate them. Now you go operate them. My dad couldn't. We evolve. But how are we evolving when it comes to good governance in Nigeria? That is the case. Negative. That's why we are not growing as a people. That is my take for now.
All right. Thank you, Paul. Let's hear from James. James will not read the book, but I hope there are things you're hearing from the book that makes you, maybe those are the things that will make you think about what you believe and whether there is any justification for a change of view. Go ahead, Mr. James.
No. I will not change my view because if you listen to Professor Killer of Arise News, he described him as a man who won the lottery but lost the ticket. The people you saw the other day during the book launch, we geographers, there's what we call conglomerate. That is a kind of sedimentary rock made up of pieces of rock cemented together. We call it conglomerate. I see them as a conglomeration of nuisance to the country, calling the shots. They won the ticket to make the country what it should be, but they won the lottery to make the country what it should be, but they lost the ticket deliberately to satisfy their, should I say, embezzle the country. I will not read it because although Mr. James was making a point by saying that if you're a lawyer, you have to read the other defense lawyers' briefs to know how to present your case. We are not contesting anything with anybody. We are not like lawyers in the court of law contesting issues. If you want to know what happened in Nigeria, I'm going to post 2 links on the chat. Whosoever is interested should go there and download materials published by academics, peer-reviewed journal articles from different parts of the world, and you know exactly what happened. It's not, these are the people who plunged the country into a terrible mess. They've never told anybody, I am sorry for what I did. Each man is trying to justify what he failed to do or what he did that plunged Nigeria into crisis. And you want me to waste my time reading the book when I have better things to do? So this is how I see it. Now, not long ago, a US senator was talking about sponsoring Boko Haram. These men and women who sat down that day during the book launch, can they swear that they knew nothing about the sponsoring of Boko Haram by, this? So anyway, please, personally, I've made it clear on this platform long ago. I've lost confidence in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Nobody can change my mind. The only way forward is to dismember the country, and we talk about post-Nigerian republics and organize ourselves properly along our own lines, because Nigeria is irredeemable. Nigeria is beyond return. That is how I see it. So I'm going to post a link, one after the other, for those who are interested in Nigerian affairs to go there and download materials. There are a lot of items on the link, but you have to search for what is of interest to you. So that is just it. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Mr. James. And
Doctor, I am so sorry. Please, can you give me 30 seconds? I'm about to leave. Please, I needed to take care of something. But just 30 seconds. There's something I want to say. Please.
All right. Go ahead.
So I want to start this way because I'm getting older now. So I'm learning for somebody like Mr. Hike and Mr. James. So there is an old man who steals fowl. And the kids saw this old man stole fowl. Then they say, hey, Papa don't steal fowl. Papa don't steal fowl. They run and call their mom. The mom, they see the fowl is still even shaking in the bag with this old man. They say, ah, Papa, why you can't carry the fowl now? We release the fowl. The man told them that you don't have respect. Now me, old man, you detest I carry fowl. If you get old person for your house, bring her, make you come search my bag. And they quickly run because luckily for them, they have old people in their house. They quickly run and call the old people. And they see the old man that they say, ah, what happened? They say, you carry our fowl. The man say, nah, so them talk. Oh. You know, then the man said, take old man, I look my back. If fowl day, make you come out. And if you like to disgrace old man, now your hand the day. And the other old man take old man, I look the bag and say, there's no fowl. These are the old men that represent that place yesterday. They use old men, I and look Nigeria. They say Nigeria is working. That is the type of nation that we are running. Those people are a bunch of foolish people. They will not be the president that I pray that my kids will learn from. And I don't hope to learn from them. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Paul. We appreciate you. Tony, you're next.
Yeah, again, greetings, everybody.
Sorry, can you see the link? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. I have listened to everybody's submission, but whilst I agree with some of the things that Ike said, he spoke my mind in some of the things he said, but I don't think, for me, that I will rubbish that book, even though I haven't read it. Like I said, I've listened and heard snippets of what the book contains. I think there are some facts in there. This is an eyewitness, someone who was a former head of state. So I can't just dismiss some of the things he says with the wave of the hand. That's not. He is a witness to some of the things. He sat. Some of those things happened directly under him as head of state, and so I'm not going to call the book rubbish. A lot of what he said are facts that we already have known. First, that the 1966 coup was ideology based or ideologically driven, in the sense that it was not an Igbo coup. Two, that even though Nzogo is Igbo, but in terms of orientation and upbringing, is totally a Northerner, and in fact, more a Hausa. And I'm not surprised that when he died, the Nigerian army took his corpse, took it to Kaduna, and gave him full military honors. And this was someone who was on the other side. Three, that even though the perception of some Igbos is that Chief Awolowo doesn't like the Igbos yet, you had Igbo officers who were bent on releasing him from prison and making him the head of state. That Ojukwu, Aguiyi-Ironsi, Obienu were Igbo officers, were some of the officers who worked to even frustrate the Nzogu coup, which some people say was led by an Igbo officer. We know from the book that there were Yoruba officers who also participated, and the names are given. From the book, we also learned that even though SDP had a presidential candidate who was from the West, from Yoruba, from the Southwest, and a vice presidential candidate from the Northeast, from a Kanuri, both of them Muslims, running against Tofa, a Hausa from Kano, whose vice president is an Igbo person. Yet, the Igbo voted over 51% for Abiola and Tingibe. From there, I also learned that an Igbo officer, Major Anufuru, had to kill Unebu, another army officer, Quartermaster General of Nigerian Army, another Igbo, because he felt that Unebu was going to work against the coup. So this was Igbo against Igbo. From the book, we learned so many other things that Ironsi was marked, to be killed. So if you look at quite a lot of things that we have seen, I think I'm not going to rubbish the book. I agree with Ike that it was wrong for him to finger Abacha. Abacha is dead and is not there to speak for himself. But also, I thought that IBB was a man of courage. And to say that he had pressures from the military, from Abacha and David Mark, that if and from other sources, that if June 12th was allowed, they will kill him. I think that is unfortunate for the kind of person that we know IBB to be. But all said and done, what are the lessons that we can draw from here? It is to say that sitting behind IBB was the president who opposed IBB and who stood for June 12th and went into the trenches and did everything he could with his colleagues just to ensure that June 12th, was annulled. Now, I feel sad that this is the same person who was involved in an election that was fraudulent, that he didn't win. So I imagine that we haven't still learned anything, because we just find 32 years after, we just find the same thing repeating itself. And so for me, I think we haven't learned any lesson. I think June 12 was a watershed in many respects. And if we had let June 12 stay, maybe the fortunes of Nigeria would be different. Now, all said and done, it is clear to me, that all the ill-conceived feelings about Ndibu, some of the finger pointing against Ndibu are mere, contraptions based on misconceived notions. About 50 to 60,000 Igbos and Southerners were killed in the north after the first coup, in the counter coup. And IBB did say that Gowon failed to protect the Igbos. And we haven't heard from Gowon. He's alive. We would like to hear from him, even though he's been begging and pleading. He has pleaded so many times over the mistakes made. But I think that going forward, there are things here we can learn. As for the gathering, it's normal. That's the Nigerian character. People gather. In such occasions and do the kind of things that we've seen. Let me just stop there because my time is up.
All right, thank you, Tony. Let's go to Man of Prestige. Man of Prestige.
Yeah, greeting everybody, afternoon, evening, wherever you may be. I think after hearing Tony and James spoke, in reference to the book and what Tony has recently said, maybe he has a glimpse of, of the book, what he said. I think I'm changing my mind. Initially, I was very upset, because of the Nigerian situation, that I wasn't going to read the book. But if there's an information about the Nigerian civil war, like Tony properly enumerated, there's a lot of information that was captured there. My information that I learned about Nigerian civil war has been from people speaking. I listened to Edmond Abiola. I don't know if you know him, the journalist based in Ibadan. He has special guests coming to his platform. So I listened to him. They have said something about the Biafran war. So that's where I learned some of the information that I have. But if somebody like Babangida can, collaborate, the information they're doing, that this is it's not an Igbo coup, and some other thing that's transpired. So, in that regard, I'm having a soft, I'm having a soft mind when it comes to the book. So I may have to, read it, particularly on that. But the reason why I stated earlier that I'm not going to read it, because I find what just transpired, was it 2 days ago? I find it like it was a shenanigan. I mean, the gathering, like I properly stated, it was the gathering of, flies and maggots in that area. I mean, if anybody watch it like I did, I mean, people was clapping at somebody, in my own opinion, that committed a treason. It shouldn't have. Nigeria is not a sin country. If Nigeria is a sin country, that man should have been arrested and handcuffed immediately and taken somewhere. I mean, people may say, why? He should have, because he committed a crime. I mean, annulling the election. I mean, look at the people that suffered during, because of the annulment of the election. The Igbos, we are going back to the southeast and everything. The Yorubas, we are protesting and some other things. I mean, that man caused a national calamity. So it's not an easy thing to say. I mean, people are gathering, and he's making that utterances that doesn't even, which are considered to be treason. You have people, everybody there, whomever, Dangote, whatever the big will of the night, the people that put Nigeria in this situation where they are in all the whole of the state, except Buhari that wasn't there, but he sent a delegate. Some people were saying why Buhari wasn't there. Well, it was IPB, that imprisoned Buhari for 3.5 years or 3 years plus. So that may be the reason why he wasn't there, but he sent a delegate. But every Dick and Harry that have perpetuated the atrocity we have in Nigeria, beginning in 1960 to up to date, any one of them alive, including your present president, who's supposed to be Natasha, that ran away from the country, but he was there. Everybody was clapping for that nonsense. That was the part that annoyed me. And you hear raising 17.5 billion for that nonsense. I mean, can anybody tell me? I mean, does that man need money? You invest in the whole country when people are raising money for your own library. It's just the kind of stuff that happened in Nigeria. Sometimes it doesn't make any sense to me. I'll be so annoyed that I don't even want to do. I don't want anything to do with that country. That's the kind of country we have, So this guy began his book and stating about what really happened, what really happened. Okay, you tried to. It was a strategic apology that he gave, in my own opinion, because he shifted the blame to Abacha. Abacha was the defense minister. I mean, the ball, stop. You was the head of state. So you can't just be shifting the blame to Abacha. Abacha was your defense minister, and he's not alive to testify about what actually happened. So what nonsense is that? You just come and make Nigeria crazy, because we're already crazy about the situation we have in Nigeria. In my own opinion, the book doesn't work. That was the reason why I stated that I wasn't going to read it. But like I said, there's more detail into that book about what transpired and some other things. So that kind of piqued my interest. So I have a soft mind that I may eventually read it. But in a nutshell, let me summarize what I'm saying. The book, it just capitalized on what Nigeria is all about. Okay, let me make this final point. In about 10 years, whatever your president is right now, is he going to come out and tell us that Obi won the election? So we are waiting. We don't even know how old he is. Maybe in about 5 to 10 years, when he live,
God bless you, man of prestige. God bless you.
When he about to die, then he's going to come and tell us that Obi won the election. So we see, this is the Nigeria you have. That's why nothing is going on in that country. It will never be better for that country unless something drastic actually happened. So that's my opinion in that regard. Thank you, Dr. Damage.
All right, thank you, man of prestige. Let's welcome Ed. Ed, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Dr. Damages, and a happy new year to you and everyone.
Yeah.
This is my first time here this year. All right. Thank you. So, I think just piggybacking on what Chin said, it's a good thing to actually read the book. It's worth it. Of course, you're going to see things that will annoy you, and then you're going to also find information that's going to, broaden your mindset about just the history of our country, especially on some very important and critical events that are taking place. So, to that effect, I'll say just pick up the book. There is a lot of It's online, so you don't have to really pay. I don't know what are the copyright rules concerning it being online, whether it was Babangida himself that allowed it or it's just people who picked it. But the copies online are really clean. I would think they actually have the permission of the author to be online. What I think is that Nigeria has 4 generals today that have served as heads of state at some point. I think 3 of them, there is this desire in their hearts to actually amend some of the wrongs that they did, whether it's Yakubu Gowon, Obasanjo, or IBB. But the problem is, how far will they go in, suiting their conscience without actually creating a very lasting negative impression about themselves? So that's the question I think those 3 generals are faced with. Someone like Yakubu Gowon, we remember there was a press conference he was trying to give, and he wanted to say some things, and they were like, "Oh, speaking Hausa," and you could see how that man, he was really distraught in trying to make that confession. And when you come to OBJ, you've seen how much he's been trying to, maybe have a say in the political goings on in the country. We saw his role with Peter Obi. I think these men, they understand maybe the negative roles they've played in the history of the country, and they're trying to suit their conscience. You could with IDB.
All right, Ed, we lost.
Things. Okay. Sorry, a call came in on my phone. A part of him really wants to say things, but another part is really restricting him. How much do I want to really put out? And and the kind of person IDB is. This is not his first book. I remember he wrote a book sometime in the 90s, I think 1991. The title of that book is not in print today. It's called For Their Tomorrow We Gave Our Today. I remember that book very well because one of our neighbors gave it to my dad, and I was still really young then, and I would just be looking at the book. What does this mean for our tomorrow? For their tomorrow we gave our today. And I think someone explained it to me that what he was saying is that they made a lot of sacrifices for us. You can look up that book. I don't think it's still in print. And I'll just look through the pictures. There's a part of IBB that really wants to look good. Someone talked about him being very courageous. IBB has never been known to be someone. You could say he's courageous, but he has been known more for his cunning than for his courage. We call him the evil genius. We call him Maradona. He's been known more for how well he could use his brain, starting from when he even gained national prominence in negotiating with Dimka during the Murtala Mohammed coup. People always knew that this man was someone that could really talk you out of things or talk you into things. So the person that has been known for being the brawn was always Abacha, right? IBB was known more as someone that's just very brainy and could, do things. So it's not really surprising to me now that he doesn't have that much courage to just spill the beans. He's trying to really couch things in a way that suits his conscience while preserving his legacy. So, there's some good things that has been reviewed. Some of those information, I don't think we were really confused about them. We weren't confused about whether Abiola won the elections. We weren't even confused about those data that he put out there. They've been out there. The data of the results. You can go on the internet. You see that data of how the spread. You see the same exact numbers. But I think what he's just trying to do now is to, the way when African fathers they maybe they do something against their children and they want to apologize, but they want to also save face, and you could also see, as I said, that those 3 generals they are still working in cahoots, trying to ameliorate what they can about the Nigerian situation without just coming out to say we really messed up. The foreword to the book was written by Yakubu Gowon, I think OBJ was probably the chief launcher. I don't know, but he had a prominent role in it. And what's really interesting is that Tinubu was there. I don't know what role Tinubu would be playing in that, because they were actually on opposite sides of the spectrum in 1993. So okay, is that time up for me?
No, round up, just round up.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to understand, what was his stance in all of that, because it's really painful that the one that was said to be the freedom fighter in that time has become the IBB of today. So anyway, it's a good thing to read that book. I really encourage everybody to do so.
All right. Thank you so much, Ed. Let's hear from Dr. Osi.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Damages. It's good to join in your show once again. This is an interesting discussion we're having here. Let me confess that I haven't really finished reading the book. As a matter of fact, I just started reading it last night. And, the little impression I could make reading from the ones I've read and some of the snippets I've also gathered from other person is, this is a man who is keenly aware of his unenviable role, the way history will cast him, and he's doing all in his power to give us another revisionist history by writing this memoir. My perspectives about the whole thing, especially those of us who I can understand why some of us don't want to even have anything to do with the book, but we also have to recognize the fact that history is about perspectives. You look at different perspectives to be able to form a more informed decision about things. It also about the fact that truth is never absolute. There are things that were held as truth for a long time, only for future events to prove us wrong. A typical example is the case of the Catholic Church and the Galileo, when it was held that the world was round, and for centuries, he was actually crucified for saying that it was not round. But ultimately, history proved him wrong. It was true at the time for the vast majority of the people, but ultimately, those things that we held as truth turned out not to be the case. So it's always good to look at different perspectives to be able to come to some conclusions. Now, I read about the part, where he talked about what was perceived largely as an Igbo coup. And most of the things he said corroborated earlier account by some other person. Of course, anybody who writes a biography is not going to cast himself as a villain. So it's understandable when he will make every attempt to paint himself on a good light. So it was refreshing in some ways, because somebody who was the dramatic personage for an epoch that lasted over 10 years, and whom, not only that, even before he became the head of state, he was behind the scene pulling a lot of strength. To hear from him, I think he's the most authoritative, the most advanced in terms of hierarchy, who has come out to actually make it clear that it was never an Igbo coup. Now, I don't like the fact that at the end, he added some kind of proviso by stating that he was not at the center of the storm, and so some of the things, his conclusions may be speculative. There was nothing speculative about what he talked about. The fact that Mzogo grew up and all his life spent it in the north and just merely is an Igbo by name, and the fact that the person who quelled the coup was indeed another Igbo man, so those were not speculative accounts. Those were something that was real, but still, maybe in a bid not to, or maybe in a bid to appease those from the north, for him not to appear like they've made a grievous mistake. He was trying to sit on the fence on that particular thing. So that was very interesting for me. The other things we can also see is the fact that even with all the things that he did, even the way his actions and policy impacted this country, he still has a huge support. And most of his supporters were the elites. For somebody to talk about giving him $8 billion, I mean, we all know what that means.
Billion naira.
8 billion naira, I mean, sorry. We all know how that came about, and a host of others. And I think Atoeze didn't really mince word in explaining what he meant to some of them. So these oligarchs, they pick and choose a few people, make them stupendously wealthy to the point that they're willing to die for him. But the rest of us are trying to eat from the crumbs that are leftovers. There's no doubt the man was he learned from Machiavelli. He did everything to keep power. But he's, doing everything now to gaslight us into believing that he was just a victim of circumstances. Many of us beg to differ, but again, I'm just starting to read the book, so I will get more insight. But I will encourage everybody. It's always good to look at the perspectives. You can by wave of hand dismiss the fact that this man played a major role in most of the things that have determined our fate as a people. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Osi. We appreciate you. Before we continue, let me just point out that tomorrow on 90 Minutes Africa, we have Chief Chuks Lebanon joining us. For those who do not know him, he's been a journalist for many, many years in Nigeria. He was at Newswatch, where Delegawa was the head. He was at Vanguard. He later on served as Chief of Staff to the government of Anambra State under Peter Obi. He has written the biography of Fagironse and the biography of Peter Obi. So he will join us tomorrow on 90 Minutes Africa. We're going to touch on all these issues, the Babangida thing and the history of Nigeria and all whatnot. So please, if you can make it, that will be wonderful. Tomorrow at 12:30 New York time and 6:30 p.m. Nigerian time. All right. Let's go back to, I think it's Kene.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Damages. Good day, Ogosi. Good to see you again. You see, for the first time, or maybe twice now, I will agree with a man of prestige. Actually, I agree with him 100%. Unlike Democrat, I agree with him. So the thing is, Dr. Damages, you asked for solution. And unfortunately, nobody provided solution except man of prestige. The solution is this. But before then, some are trying to claim that IBB was trying to apologize. Trying to apologize isn't an apology. So he did not apologize. Matter of fact, what IBB did was daring you Nigerians, telling you what he did, the crime he committed, the treasonable offense he committed to Nigerians, and nothing you can do about it. And to reward him, his brother, Dangote, gifted him 8 billion naira to say, well done for the good job you did for our people, for his people, right? So he dared you, and nothing is going to happen. So the likes of IBB should be in prison today for destroying Nigeria. He claimed that he did what he did for the best interest of Nigeria. Nigeria of who? Who? Am I part of the Nigeria? Right? What I remembered in 1993, also Abiola, was that we prayed rosary from Plateau State down to Anambra State while my father was driving all day to make sure that we go home safely. Also Abiola. We witnessed a lot of families having accidents on the road, some dying, some never succeeded, some of the victims never made it. All caused by IBB. And here today, he is seeing his ancestors. And then he wants to tell you what he did. And to give you a middle finger, you guys can't do anything. And nothing will be done about it. And we've seen a lot of his likes repeating what he did. We had Buhari rig the election. We had Tinubu rigged the election, and Wike rigged the election. Tomorrow, Wike, maybe the next 30 years or 31 years, Wike will now come and say, yeah, actually, Peter Obi won the election in Rivers State. Or Tinubu will come and say, actually, Peter Obi won the election, hands down. And we will clap for him. And one Olori Bruku will come and donate 8 billion naira to him. He claimed that he's launching, he's making a GoFundMe in order to build library. The same human being that contributed in removing history from our secondary schools. We pay tuition for our children. They go to school, but they never taught history. And this criminal wants to now wrote a book, a useless book, and want to sell it to Nigerians so that you go and read history that we all know already. Somebody here was compelling us to go and read book. Which useless book? I salute whomever that called that book a rubbish book. Is he giving it for free? If he's giving it for free, I don't even have time because spending, you know how much per hour is? How will I spend such amount of time reading a rubbish book that we all know what happened? It's like it's not as if something new happened. He rigged, he annulled the election won by Abiola. Abiola won that election. We all know that the coup wasn't an Igbo coup. So what else? What new is he going to tell us? Or did he write in that book how much money he looted from Nigeria and where we can get the money? He looted Nigeria dry. So where are the money? He's not, returning the money just like his brother Abacha was doing, even from the grave. And he's telling us cock and bull story. And of course, just like my big brother OC, kind of describe them. They are all oligarchs, but I don't want to call them oligarchs. They are hooligans. Call them what they are. Oligarchs. Hooligans. That's the way from Dangote, the actors you mentioned, that guy from Anambra State. They're all hooligans. Bunch of hooligans. They contributed nothing but disaster to our people. He's launching a useless book so that we'll come and clap for him or buy book, and then he's making money when you buy the book, looting you in disguise. So my brother, Dr. Damages, you asked for solution. The solution is, which I know that it will never happen. Arrest this old God-forsaken moron, old forsaken criminal in the name of IBB, put him to jail, let him rot and die in jail. He committed a treasonable offense in that country. He killed a lot of people, a lot of families lost everything because of that man. Abiola's family is in penury because of that man. He should go to jail and never return again. That is the solution. Of course, it will never happen. We applaud evil. We embrace evil in this country. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kene, for that submission. I think we have the next person should be Benson Emmanuel. Benson, welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you, Dr. Damages, and God bless you.
Yeah.
God bless you. It's a long time I've not been here,
Yeah.
And for the starting, I want to thank Ekene so much. I usually come here to watching some. I watch these programs many times. I watch him, and I like the way he's keeping the Biafran spirit going. May God continue to bless him, bless him, Chim, and some others. Well, it's unfortunate when you look at Nigeria, you start looking at Nigeria, is it a country or a nation, or what is Nigeria really? Because if Nigeria is a nation, you can't see such people come to talk because of such a useless man. That Babangida is a useless man. Somebody who ruined many lives in Nigeria. And today people come to thank him. Yesterday I was watching Arise News. The guy presenting what's that program? Was the way she was happy that Babangida, the way she was happy, those kind of people were there thanking, elogizing Babangida. I wonder, what kind of human being is this? What kind of journalists are these? That's not a human being. You know what you're doing? Oh my God. The family of Abiola, what would they be thinking today? Many people that died, what they be thinking today? All the people that died in road accident and all the rest when they were going home, what did they be thinking today? The golf money that this man stole, where is it today? If that money was there, the country could have been very far. If the money does, all those crooks who are there yesterday, if you look at this one, say he's a pastor, the former vice president, he lied that Tinubu break out from the prison and ran away. Why should such a man say such a thing in public glare? It's very unfortunate, Nigeria. You see, when this man is talking about Biafra, he's trying to make the Igbos happy. But if he wanted to make Igbos happy, why didn't he, when he will rule Nigeria, why didn't he say it when he was ruling Nigeria? The same thing we are seeing today is the same thing that today we have a chief judge, is a Yoruba man. You have attorney general, is a Yoruba man. You have the president, is a Yoruba man. Now they are telling us Igbos are the one keeping Nnamdi Kanu. If anything happened to Nnamdi Kanu to any time now or anytime, you know what they will say? Hey, well, after 20 years, somebody come and say, hey, we made a mistake, we could have released him. Why can't they release him now? It's not the Fulani that is keeping Nnamdi Kanu. It's not the Igbo that are keeping Nnamdi Kanu. It's the Yorubas. And what the Yorubas are doing is not good for the country. It's not good for themselves. No Igbo man can think of keeping a Yoruba man there, knowing that he didn't do anything, and they keep him there. And they are making all those kind of contortion. No, it's an Igbo. It's the Igbo governors. Is this the Supreme Court say release that man? The kind of this thing that this Babangida is coming to tell us now, and these Igbos were not Tinubu. No, Abiola won the election. Igbo didn't do this. The best things anybody can do now is this: releasing Nnamdi Kanu. It's not tomorrow you come and say no. You know we made a mistake. We could have released it. No, we didn't. You know. All these things are not helping Nigeria. For me, I don't have anything about. I don't believe that Nigeria can move forward because of these injustices in Nigeria, all this nepotism in Nigeria. Honestly, when you look at Nigeria, you will see that it's not a country. For example, Tinubu is there today. If after Tinubu that put all the Yoruba people in that positions, and you see an Hausa man coming again, putting Hausa people in that positions. So tell me how the country can move forward. Or tomorrow, an Yoruba man comes in and put Yoruba people in positions. Tell me how the country can move forward. Today, the South, who are keeping this country? Their oil is keeping this country. You remove them. How will a South man be happy seeing what is happening in Nigeria? How can he pray for Nigeria to move forward? How can Igbo man pray for Nigeria to move forward? When you take their gas, you send their gas to the Europe, and then you're not giving them anything. The railway in this present what they call it budget, they didn't put Igbo people. They did no Southeast listen in that railway. And the other day I was watching the Senate, an Igbo man rise up and said, why no Eastern state captured in this railway this thing? What the representative man, the House of Representatives this thing, tell him to know, maybe we look at it at the supplementary budget. How can such a thing be? How can the Igbos have that faith in Nigeria? They can't. When all these injustices are going on, when all these nepotism are going on, when these killings are going on today, I want to tell you, the people that are doing all this crime in Nigeria are the government. If the government works very well, if the government are doing the right thing, the crime will reduce because they are not doing the right thing, they are not going the right direction. That is why you see many crimes in Nigeria, and it will continue. Whether those who come here to patronize the people who are ruling, how can you come and shout for a senator? You say a senator is doing a senator. All the senators, all of them, let anybody tell me one good law or these senators have made since this Senate came in, not even from the first republic. What have the Senate done? One tell me. They are there to safeguard this what they call the executive. Look at what is happening in America now. Yesterday, American senators went home, and their people asked them question: why leaving Trump to do what he's doing? But in our own, our people, the senators don't go home. They only stay in Abuja, collecting the money and give to their girlfriends and their wives, giving to their children. And you say the country can be good. The country will never be good. I don't pray for it not to be good. I want it to be good so that we can go home and establish in Nigeria But because of what is happening, it's going to be difficult. Thank you, Dr. Damages, and God bless you.
All right. Thank you, Benson, for that input. Let's see. Chim, you want to say something? I saw the comment.
No, I'm not saying anything on this matter. I've heard my view. I will wait for the next topic because I need to leave soon. So I'm
all right.
I'm done with IBB.
You're done with IBB, but I'm really interested in solutions. Some people are saying that I think that he should be forgiven now that he has cleared at least the issue of Junior.
So when you've asked this question of solutions, I don't know what solution you're asking for.
So how do we
solution for him?
No, for the country, how do we move forward? If I mean, we know that some of these factors have, some of these issues have been settled to most people. Humphrey Nwosu wrote a book that a lot of people didn't read, and they're trying to read Babangida's book. And those that read that book knew what happened. There was no question about who won the election. But now, how do we move forward? Are we going to stand still here? Or are we going to maybe have a standard history book that will say this is what happened? Because there are some things that we have to get to a point where we don't debate them anymore. We say this is what we agreed happened to us, just like Canadian history, American history.
Okay, so history. There's no history that is foolproof. It's just that there will be a majority viewpoint of this. It's like the American War of Independence or the American Civil War. There are still people who hold alternative views about how it started, what should have happened, and all those things. There are people who still believe that the declaration by is that Lincoln on people will hold different views. So there is no time. History. What we expect is that history will be allowed to be taught. Because even before they started removing history from our school curriculum, the perspective about the Nigerian Civil War as taught by a professor in any school in the Southeast will vary from the perspective of someone in the North vis-a-vis the person in the Southwest. There will always be those little, salt and pepper here and there. The only solution I have, or I expect us to see, is I would have expected like a man like the one who is in the saddle now, the current president, would have been a student of history where his supposed mentor was denied his rights. He won an election and was denied, and he claimed to be fighting for it. I would have expected him to have gone into an election and allowed the process to run. He didn't do that. I would have expected that this person who is in office today, who used to scream and shout about fiscal federalism, will go into office now and use his good position now to begin to pursue that thing to become the norm, that let's have a balanced fiscal federal system. And I've expected him to start doing some of the things his predecessors who were predominantly military oriented, because all the previous leaders of Nigeria predominantly had been military men, including Obasanjo, who came back later as a civilian, but he still had a military mindset. I would have expected that this guy now, who has never been in the military, who has always supposedly claimed to be fighting for democracy, will suddenly come now and be an epitome of that democratic virtues and values. That is how you solve the Nigerian problem. Because I keep saying it, the average Nigerian is waiting for his turn. It just looks to me like a never-ending cycle. People keep repeating the same thing they fought and argued against. I was sharing something with someone the other day, on a lighter note, and I'll end there. People will claim, oh, my mother-in-law did this, my mother-in-law did that. And I told someone, I said, well, if your mother-in-law did X to you, now you know how not to do it to your daughter-in-law. That is what history is. That is what that we have learned from history. If you keep repeating the same thing that other people have done, then you've not learned anything. And it shows to me that's what the Nigerian elite does, the average Nigerian politician does, the average Nigerian, as it were. We are waiting turn to repeat the same thing we frowned against in previous years. So tell me how a man who wanted to be part and parcel of a demonstration, wanted government to give him the right passage of way and respect his rights to demonstrate, but he becomes president and he shuts down demonstrations. So this thing, when you say, that's why I asked you solution, what solution exactly are you asking for? When people are repeating the same thing.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jim. Let me bring in Jide before Tony. If you have something to say, let me hear from Jide first, and then we can get the final words from people who are in the studio. Jide, we've been talking about Babangida's book and these stories that are coming out of that. I don't know if you've read it, and what's your take on what is coming out from the book?
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Damages, for having me. Nice to see you again. Hello, Mr. Tony. Good to see you again. Man of Prestige, Mr. James, and Chin. Good to see everyone. Yeah, I mean, I just came on live, and yeah, it's a very interesting conversation. And I've listened to some people's perspective on this, and I'm going to come from a different perspective. You see, I think this conversation, I feel like, first of all, it's not the right conversation, and I'll give my reasons why. Why I think it's not the right conversation is because, first of all, these elites, they do not serve our interests. Babangida, MKO Abiola, these are our enemies. These are the people's enemies. These people destroyed Nigeria, including MKO Abiola. The June 12th thing, the way I see it is, even if you had won that election, nothing is going to change positively for Nigeria. That is the truth. And I'll give the reasons why. You see, if you look at the mid-19, I wasn't born in the mid-1980s, but I read peer-reviewed journals, I read documents, I read foreign policy documents about Nigeria to know some of these things, and I'm still learning. In the mid-1980s, Buhari was in power, and the IMF and World Bank and Bretton Woods institutions were trying to impose some economic policies on Nigeria. And at that time, MKO Abiola was one of the most powerful political and economic elites in Nigeria. At that time, he was a CIA agent through ITT, the International Telecommunication and Telegraph. And this organization, they waged regime change operations in Latin America, and MKO Abiola was a core member. These are not conspiracy theories. These are facts. And because Buhari and Idi Agbon did not implement some of these policies, these neoliberal IMF and World Bank policies, CIA used MKO Abiola and other agents to facilitate regime change operations that led to the removal of Buhari, that led to the success of Babangida in a non-violent coup, that led to Babangida being in power in 1985. Subsequently, after he was in power, thanks to the support of his friend MKO Abiola and other CIA institutions, what happened was Babangida implemented the structural adjustment program. That structural adjustment program is underpinned by the neoliberal ideology of the West that is still wrecking and destroying Nigeria's economy up till this day. Up till now, it has not changed. And MKO Abiola played a role in all this. And after, in 1993, the June 12th election thing is not really clear. Even though it was a good election, it was a free and fair election, I agree. However, it is not really clear why Babangida did not install MKO Abiola into power. Like I said, I don't know. I'm not going to go too much into that. I don't want to digress. But the point of the matter is that I think we should start talking about how our country is being affected by foreign interference as we've never seen before. And all these people that we're talking about, either we call them heroes or villains, they are all agents. And these people, they do not serve our interest at all. So I think we need to start looking at the legacy of these people. And if we look at the legacy of these people, it has actually, we can conclude that their legacy has destroyed Nigeria, including MKO Abiola, including the June 12th. June 12th will never solve our problem. I think we need to start looking at how we need to achieve our sovereignty as a nation. I think we need to start having the real conversation, how we can break away from this foreign interference. We just heard about how the US government is sponsoring Boko Haram, killing thousands of people in our country. I think that those are the kind of conversations that we should be having. I don't think we should be talking about this. These people are criminals. They destroyed our country. They destroyed the future of millions of Nigerians. I think that's what we should be talking about. Thank you.
Wow. All right. Thank you so much, Jide. We round up on this topic. Tony, let me hear from you. 2 minutes. And if there's anybody else back who wants to weigh in, 2 minutes, Tony, and then we change topics.
Yeah, just a few things to say. Babangida was the one at the saddle when we had the June 12th election. And he has given us reasons in his book why the election was annulled. I don't think anybody else will know more than him as to why he did that. Two, I don't know if we can say for sure that Abiola is a CIA agent. I've heard that being said, but I don't know if we can say for sure that he was. But all said and done, the criticisms against a lot of the criticisms against IBB, I think are real. But IBB also was the one who created some states in the East. IBB was the one that removed the bar in the military that any Igbo officer would not take any major command in the military, and that he would, on enlistment, he would be placed one step lower than his contemporaries. So even though there are so many bad things that IBB did, I would not say totally that is such a demon that has no benefit. On a larger scale, if you look at the country, a few other things that he did that we can credit him for. But all said and done, I think that the book throws up so many issues that we can interrogate that are relevant to our development process today. IBB's book raises questions as to whether we have learned about how to hold a free and fair election. IBB's book throws up the fact that the Igbos, that there's been a lot of demonization of the Igbos, and so there's a need for us, all those stereotypes, to do away with them. IBB's book also revealed to us that there are some big powers behind the politics of Nigeria who, if it doesn't go the way they want, will hold Nigeria to ransom. Let me just stop there.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. James. 2 minutes. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, okay, upon that. Thank you. You see, on this platform, a number of times in the past, I've mentioned something about Western interference, foreign interference in our internal affairs. And this is what Mr. Jide emphasized also in his remark. These people who congregated on that day to launch that book, they should tell us what they know about Western interference in our internal affairs. As Jide said, they are not protecting our interests. So it is bizarre to me that people are even praising Babangida for writing a book. If you write a book, and so what? How fair? I mean, this is the man who destroyed the country. Take it or leave it. If you still remember, I think it was the time I left Nigeria also, about 40 or so years ago, that area in Western Nigeria, they call Shongo Ota. Industries were springing up through private initiatives. They were spilling over into Ogun State. In Aba, there's what they call Tai 2. In those days, when you see a fake product, you call it Taiwan. Although they call it fake, but it's a product. It's a step forward. So when they produce anything in Aba, they call it Tai 2. Industries, private initiatives were, people were using their private initiatives to set up industries. I still remember they were fabricating simple motor parts in eastern Nigeria. It is Babangida's administration that ruined everything with his structural adjustment program. So why should we even bother to read his book? This is a man who buried us alive. Now we are praising him because somebody wrote a book for him. Because I believe that he lacked the capability to even put pen on paper to write a paragraph, let alone writing a book. He's not even the author of the book, if you look at it critically. I've said it, Nigeria is beyond repair. No man born of a woman can come up with a solution that will solve the problem of Nigeria. The earlier we pack up the federation, the better. People are just suffering for nothing. And this suffering will continue, not until somebody will take the bull by the horn. Look at what happened in Ghana, in Liberia, even in Niger, and other parts of the world. Okay.
No, go ahead. Round up your thoughts.
You see, look at what happened in those countries I've just mentioned. Their situation was as deplorable as it is in Nigeria today. But the last straw that shattered the camel's back came unexpectedly. Nigeria is finished. We should call it, we should be sincere with ourselves. We should stop building castles in the air that we are going to repair Nigeria. Nigeria is irreparable. It's finished. Those of us who went through Nigeria, when Nigeria was Nigeria, are convinced beyond all reasonable doubt that no man born of a woman can fix the country. Thank you very much.
All right. Man of Prestige, 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity to summarize my point. Like I chatted earlier, it would have been very interesting to listen, to see somebody to come in, like I mentioned, the person I mentioned on the chat, would have come in to, to give us, their impression why they disagree, because they say they are disagreeing with what IBB said. So it would have been very interesting to come, for him to come in and give us his own opinion, because it seemed to be everybody on this platform and on the chat totally agree with what IBB said. We have the same opinion that it wasn't an Igbo coup, but the person stated that he disagreed with him. But having said that, like I stated earlier, I have a modification in my mind about the book. I stated earlier that I wasn't going to read it. The book was a shenanigan. But Tony, Chim, and some other people that have spoken here has changed my mind, so I'm very curious to read the book. And I'm going to start, if not by tomorrow, start reading the book. And regardless, I call it a shame, the book, what it is. I'm going to read the book just to get a pure view about what really transpired during the Biafran War or something like that, because I've always been very curious, about what actually happened. But in my own opinion, the book does nothing but implicate, what he did and what atrocity most of them, caused to that country. People have stated that he did some good, that he did the third mainland bridge. He's the one that created, created some of the states. He's the one that built Abuja. But there's a lot of bad things that he did. It's not about you do very few things that is very, that doesn't want anything. We come here, we commend you. I mean, he's the one that started the devaluation of Naira to where we are right now. So that man has done a lot of damage to that country. Let's not just come here because he did a very little things, I mean, this is what a leader is supposed to do. This is the problem with the country. When somebody like Wike build the road, build the bridge, we come here and commend them. They did. This is what is expected. It's Nigerian tax people money. You should do that, and you shouldn't get a credit for doing that. It's when you invent something or do something very extraordinary, we can come here and commend you that you are doing something. So I totally disagree with people who are coming here to say that he did. No, he did nothing, because the atrocity that he committed, the criminal that he committed to that country, supersede every good thing that he has done. Whatever people said, I don't see it that way. But in my opinion, he shouldn't be working freely. He's 88 years old. What are we supposed to learn? I mean, it doesn't matter what age you are. You can go to jail, like I properly stated, in the same country. That man should be in prison right now, regardless of he's 88. He might live up to 90, 100, who knows? Look at Edwin Clark and Deba, all of them live up to 90 something. Maybe he should be in jail and live the rest of his life in there. Even people like God should, start telling us about what really happened in the Nigerian Civil War. The Abura Accord, how he came back here and they get whatever he agreed with Ojukwu. They should start speaking. That's what I just said. And not, look at where we are right now. It's them that should start speaking, telling us how they transform Nigeria to a very, negative entity, like I call it. Thank you, Dr. Damage.
All right. Thank you, man of praise. All right. We will go to a new topic.
Because your money, $697 million annually, plus the shipments of cash funds madrasas, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, ISIS Khorasan, terrorist training camps. That's what it's funding. If you think that the program under Operation Enduring Sentinel Women's Scholarship Endowment, which receives $60 million annually, or the Young Women Lead, which gets about $5 million annually, is going to women who, by the way, if you read the Inspector General's report, is telling you that the Taliban does not allow women to speak in public. Yet somehow you're believing, and American people are supposed to believe, that this money is going for the betterment of the women in Afghanistan. It is not. You are funding terrorism, and it's coming through USAID. And it's not just Afghanistan, because Pakistan's right next door. USAID spent $840 million in the last 20 years on Pakistan's education-related program. It includes $136 million to build 120 schools, of which there is zero evidence that any of them were built. Why would there be any evidence? The Inspector General can't get in to see them. But you know what? We doubled down and spent $20 million from USAID to create educational television programs for children unable to attend the physical school. Yeah, they can't attend it because it doesn't exist. You paid for it. Somebody else got the money. You are paying for terrorism. This has got to end. I yield, Mr. Chair.
All right, this video has been out there. People make reference to this guy, Scott Perry. I want to find out, how many of you here have tried to find out who this man is? Why are people quoting him as an authority that he knows what he's talking about?
I think he's involved with security service. Someone should fact check me. I'm not sure if I remember very well.
I'm
this guy.
I'm scared of what I'm noticing from Nigerians. But we're going to talk about, the next topic will be about Akpabio and Natasha. But I want, because Chim has to go, I want to hear from maybe Chim and any other person who has information, who can tell me why. Is it because he's saying what we want to hear? And how do we end up being a kind of people who, because he's an American or because he's a white man or because he's a member of Congress, saying anything? If you go to his history, the background of this guy, he's not credible. This is somebody who was trying to forge voters, what do you call them, electoral college voters to support Trump. This somebody, if you read about him, you won't take anything the man is saying. But somehow, Nigerians have started putting him as this. Hold on, Chim, let me finish. And the other thing I want people to weigh in is, do you think that the CIA is the smallest of the intelligence agencies in America? There are so many that we don't even know some of them, their names, that when they want to do something, if they want to do something, they're going to use this one, you see their budgets. Do you know that the secret agencies in America, the serious ones, they don't even mention their budgets in Congress? So people now assume, Nigerians somehow, they believe that this is how it goes, that they will just go and give money to USAID so that they will keep Boko Haram going. I just want to know how we assess things and analyze things, and how we become just a group of people who just follow, somehow overwhelmed. And we are talking about these foreign people having influence on us, and we cannot think beyond the surface. That's what I want to put up there. All right, Chim, go ahead.
Okay, so incidentally, after this, I have to leave because time has caught up with me. So you see, it is, I'm not saying, personally, my views are not that Scott Perry is 100% accurate or not, but the truth remains, Rudolph, if you disagree with somebody, and it's common, it's a normal human thing. If somebody's not, even you as you are, Scott Perry is not credible because he's not also saying what you want to hear.
No. What he's saying doesn't make sense. Not that he's not saying what I want to hear.
I hear you. So this is me speaking to you. Scott Perry is not credible because he is not saying exactly the way you want it to be. That's a fact. It's left for you to defend it. So just like what is his name, former President Joe Biden. Joe Biden dropped out of a presidential race a couple of years back. Why did he drop out? Rudolph, why did he drop out? He was found guilty of plagiarizing someone's statements. It's a fact. We all know this. And because as soon as he was called out, he dropped out of the race. On the numbers was...
Go ahead.
No, please. Did Joe Biden not drop out of a race for plagiarizing someone's statement?
He did, but it
Why are
wasn't
you shaking your head?
No, I'm just saying. Go ahead. I don't want us to go to.
Okay, so the point I want to make is this. The point I want to make. Why I'm picking on that is you said people should go and check Scott Perry's antecedents because of what he. Listen, if we check everybody's antecedents in politics,
we should.
Okay, and I agree with you. I do. So if we check everybody's antecedents in politics, that entire forum will be empty because it doesn't anywhere. No, so where I'm going to is this. I am not saying Nigeria should take Scott Perry word for word or everything. I will be the first to acknowledge that whatever is going on with you said, the President of America is trying to disseminate it because he feels it's a channel for funding of things they have used in the media to fight him. Unfortunately for USAID is going to suffer because USAID has given fund to CNN, given to BBC in the past, and these institutions have used it to say things against Trump. So Trump is disseminating it. Now it's going to affect other things seemingly good that USAID simply needs to do. But my view in all of this, Scott Perry or no Scott Perry, there is always a glimmer of light for Africans if they see it. And that glimmer of light has nothing to do with this funding. It has to do with, let's chart our own course. Must we depend? Does somebody need to give us money to take care of our AIDS victims back home in Nigeria? Do we need to go and get funds from other people to do that? Does somebody need to give one NGO money to fight, bring back Chibok girls? Why can't Nigeria, we have a problem, then we fund it ourselves? We have the capacity. Why do we need to depend? It's because we depend on those things. That's why any little action that happens somewhere else, we begin to look for the loopholes, why it favors or does not favor us. So I'm not saying Scott Perry is credible or not. That's not my me. But I like to be very balanced and honest. Everybody, if we begin to over-scrutinize everybody, then there is somebody in fact, I will discredit Tony here now today if I want to. I will find enough reason to discredit why I won't want to listen to him. But I always say to people, keep an open ear, take what is necessary, dump what you don't need. That's simply how I operate. So because if I start going there, even me will not be credible to somebody. It's a fact.
All right. Thank you, Tim. Tony, we just want 2 minutes for everybody. Let's just touch on this thing and then go to Akpabio, which is what I think is the most important thing. Go ahead.
Sorry, let me go and get ready. Otherwise, I'll leave. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, what are we speaking on? Akpabio or Scott Perry?
Perry, yeah, I want to know what you think about this frenzy, the way I see it, the way that we didn't even bother to know who this man is, and people are quoting him thinking that this is the confirmation of what we've always been saying. And to think that the American intelligence agency is so weak and so unintelligent to depend on USAID to carry out operations if they want to carry out operations.
No, I think the problem here is that if you look at the operations of the USAID, you find out that the scope of their transaction, the outreach in terms of the aid that they give to various countries is so wide that it cannot by itself control what happens to a lot of the funds that it disburses. So individual governments, NGOs, and various organizations sometimes deviate from the actual goal for which the funds are intended, and so you have these issues that have arisen. And then, of course, it's a good talking point for Trump because Scott Perry is this man, and he's a showman, and so that easily ties in. I mean, that makes news. That will people will applaud that. And if you look at Trump's public opinion now in America is going down about him and things that he's done. So to that extent, yes, maybe I'm a biased person because I am not a Trump person. But I think that yes, funds were misused. But I don't think that is enough reason to totally, scrap USAID because it's affecting America itself in terms of some of his operations and outreach and so on. Aids are not given just for nothing. The person who gives aid has a reason why he's giving aid. There's a strategic interest behind the giving of aid. They are not just being Father Christmas or trying to be altruistic. So to that extent, even America itself, even right here, is feeling the impact of that. Not to talk about the various other countries and its impact in what it's doing. But that said, I agree with you that the way this whole thing has been construed or looked at, tends to present US aid as a demonic um, 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 instrument, that needs to be done away with. So I don't agree with that, even though I concede that some few mistakes have been made in the use to which some of those aids were put.
All right. Thank you, Tony. Let's go to Bibi. Bibi, welcome to the show.
Hi, Dr. Damages.
Yeah, how are you?
Yes. Yes, I saw the Scott Perry story, and this is my take on it. For me, I see that even though we know that the West are committing a lot of atrocities on our continent, and they've done a lot of things. But what I will not do is, I will not just have speculations. We know what we've been hearing about this for a very long time, but where are the proof? Give me the proof. That's what I want. That's so that can erase speculation and make it like the truth. So I would not take, just like you said, like Scott Perry, because I go deeper into all these things because of what I do for work and in my studies. So I know who Scott Perry is. He's a staunch MAGA. They are just looking for ways to discredit what USAID is doing. I am not saying that the West are not committing atrocities. That's not my perspective. But give me the proof so that I know that this is the fact. Scott Perry was just saying random terrorist group. It wasn't so particular. It was just talking about all the terrorist group around the world. So it wasn't particular like, oh, this is Boko Haram and this is what they've done. This is what they've done. This is what they did, and give us proof. So I will not take what he says. He's just like you said. He committed fake electors issue during the 2020 election. So I would not even take what he's saying with a grain of salt. They are just like very untruthful people. But I need proof. I know what they're doing to my people on our continent, but I need proof this time. I don't want to hear you said what you said and what you don't say. So that's just what I think about it.
Yeah. Thank you. I really, my narrow view is about Boko Haram and the way Nigerians are now putting it out there that this is a confirmation that Boko Haram is being sponsored by the Americans. That's really, it's not even about the whole organization and what they do around the world. But this idea that this man just opened his mouth and mentioned Boko Haram, and then everybody now claps that, okay, we found it.
It's just confirmation bias. Like people already have their bias toward what, the West or America specifically are doing. So that just confirmed what they've been talking about. Like, oh yeah, you said USAID, so we're just going to go after USAID. Not knowing that they are looking for a way to discredit what USAID is doing so they can scrap the agency. So it's just a talking point for him. He's not coming with fact. So that's
all right. Thank you. Dexter, welcome.
Hi. Hello. Thank you, Dr. Damages, and everybody on the panel. I will take a kind of different view on this because when you go into all these provision of aids to foreign countries, there's an interest. When something benefits you, it's easy to try to defend it, even if it's what you call it, even if it's not really good. And a typical example is during the slave trade era, you had the black slaves that were in the house, you had the black slaves that were in the plantation. The black slaves in the house felt like it was good for them, but the ones in the plantation, they didn't see it in the same way. I think, especially for Africa, West Africa and the African nation down south, look, scrapping of USAID, we should use it as an opportunity. We should not make it a topic of whether or not it was good. Yes, I know some people benefited from it. That's perfectly good and fine. But we must still agree that if anybody is doing something, if it means that he has to cause unrest, and let us remember, that during the before the slave trade, I was reading one of Dele Ogun's book, and he was describing how one of the ways the West exploited Africa was to sponsor wars within the African continent to create a disharmony, and then they can exploit them. It is still the same tactics, and one of the things we are falling for is the same way they were giving our chiefs the liquor, so that they would drink, and that's what they wanted. That's the same way they are giving us the same aid, and we are buying into it. So I think for good or for bad, whatever it is, a time has come in Africa where we should be able to say, look, okay, we don't even want this aid. We want to develop ourselves, and the West will do whatever it is. If it means that they have to create unrest, look, Boko Haram, you have soldiers who have come out to say, well, let's just interrogate the matter. The weapons Boko Haram fighters were having were sophisticated weapons. We've had, in fact, I think 72 Nigerian soldiers were court-martialed because they said they won't go and fight because they saw that the terrorists had better weapons than them, westernized weapons. How did the weapons get there? How those guys, where are they getting? And what we should realize is this: a typical example, when the West wanted to bring down Osama bin Laden, they did everything possible. They used Red Cross, every possible soft means. They used it to get Osama bin Laden. They used, whether it was charities, they used it all over Pakistan, everywhere they used it, and that is espionage. And that is, look, we should treat this thing like a game of chess. The opponents are your enemy. You do anything to win, and that's what the West are good at. There's no sentiment about it. No, soft feelings. It's a game, and you need to win, and that's what they do. And if they have to do it, if they have to give us some money, yes, and if they have to look, there's uranium in northern Nigeria. We all know that. So if they have to do what they have to do to get their hands on those minerals, they have to do it. And for us, we should take it with good faith. These guys don't want to give us any Charlie Benjamins again. No problem. Let's focus on ourselves and develop ourselves. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dexter. Yeah, Bibi, go ahead.
Yes, and I want to add to it, like, why are we giving our leaders jail-free card? Why are we not making them be accountable for what is happening, the terrorism that is happening? It's like I see some Nigerian officials coming and I say, yes, we saw helicopters, we saw this. Where are your reports on this? Where are the evidence on this? If you are leaders, you are accountable to us. So we're giving them a jail-free card because they're sponsoring terrorism for their own interest. We know that the West are doing what they're doing. What about our own people? So it's like we push everything to the West. Our people are equally guilty, and we should hold them accountable. And let's start from there.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bibi. Before I go to Adoma, my interest is really about people who cheap answers, easy answers. We're not saying the West are not doing bad things in Africa, but because we don't want to do the hard work, we just grab the word of this man and just that's the answer we need. So if people were dropping arms into your country, what have you done to I'm getting feed from someone. Let me see who that is. What have you done to try to stop that? Instead of waiting for a congressman to open his mouth and say, oh, yeah, they are sponsoring Boko Haram. And then everybody will now hands up and say, okay, yeah, that's what's happening. But anyway, go ahead, Adama, welcome to the show.
Yes, greetings, Dr. Damages. I came in for Bree. How you doing? I came in just for you specifically. I private message you. So if you want to check the message so that you can respond, that's the only thing I came in so that you can see me. And we're having a program tonight, so I'll be honored if you can join us at 6 p.m. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Damages. That's all I came in for.
Yeah, sorry, Dr. Damages. I actually sent you like a private message on Instagram. That was the only way.
Oh no, I don't go. I don't.
Yeah, so I requested I sent you my information to be given to Adama, but
okay. All right, I'll send you. I'll put my number on the private chat here. But Instagram, there are a lot of things going on there. I don't get chance.
Yeah, I know. Okay, thank you.
To see them. Thank you.
Yes, but can you respond? Can you see if you can see what I sent you before I leave, so I make sure you have everything?
Okay, just give me a sec.
Yeah. Sorry about that. We're doing this publicly. I'm sorry.
It's all right. Let me see. We are going to. I see new people here that I want to hear from. Kandu, Kandu, welcome to the show. How are you today? Oh, go ahead, Bibi. Go ahead. What do you want to say? You didn't get it?
No, I didn't get it.
It's a private message on the private chat here. Is it? Adama, is that where you put it?
Yes, we're on the. It says on the chat. Look at the app and click on your name. You will see it.
All right, Bibi, we can't hear you. All right, Adama.
I see it on my laptop.
Okay.
I see
Okay.
it. Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you. Andu, welcome to the show.
Yes, my good doctor. Good afternoon.
Yeah, how are you?
How Mama Dick?
They are here. Everybody's here.
Good, good. You know, just like you rightly said, I really don't understand human beings anymore, honestly. You know, how people will take one thing and turn it into something that is not even the size of a molehill and turn it into a mountain. You know, USAID has been operating since 1961. I think their last budget was $72 billion. Even if some money that they spend in Africa or in the Middle East went to Boko Haram or whoever else. So you think that's what they do? That's how you justify life. It's like somebody saying because Noriega, Panama's strong man, there was a video of him loading a plane with cocaine back in 19 God knows what. That's why there's cocaine in America. How ridiculous are you? What level of thinking is that? How does that work? So because some money that they spent, probably peanuts from the totality of the humanitarian work that is done worldwide. So you want to throw the baby mama, and the bathwater out. I'm just astonished. This level of thinking. Even I don't care what. Bring all the evidence of their direct sponsoring. Does that mean that is what this is all about? All the good work that is done worldwide, keeping millions of children alive every year. If you cannot, I'm tired of all these substitute teachers who refuse to mend their own house. I don't care what Britain is doing to you as a country. I don't care what America is doing to you. Grow up. You're a country. You're a nation. Grow some balls. Go borrow some if you don't have some. Why do you keep blaming everybody? No one says you should not recognize what's been done to you. But when are you going to grow up? When are you going to stand on your own? I've seen Dr. Damages, I think it was, or if his forefathers, showed pictures of China, Beijing in 1960. Show pictures of Lagos in 1960. There are more cars, vehicles in Lagos. Come and see the number of Kekelem where they Beijing. Look at where they are today. Look at where you are. I don't accept excuses from myself. I don't accept excuses from the people I deal with, the children that I mentor. I don't expect any excuse from anywhere. I don't care what Babalawo is keeping you down. It doesn't matter. The only question in life is about what happens and what you're going to do about it. Nobody cares. We don't care. We don't care that you grew up poor. We don't care. It doesn't matter. Life moves on, with or without you. So if you want to sit down in your basement talking about it is America that is making Boko Haram and sponsoring Boko Haram, nobody cares. Sit here for the next 60 years. And with the mindset of those people in that room, sitting down, celebrating pure evil, somebody that should be taken to the market space naked and flogged with koboko, celebrating evil. Like I said, if they paid me 1 billion naira, I wouldn't read that book. Not for a billion. What is he going to say? What is he going to write? The same person that I cannot come out and accept responsibility. How do you move on and expect people to forgive you or even start the process of forgiving you when you cannot even say, genuinely, I am sorry? I think one of them said that Babangida was the one that gave them the right to get oil block for 1 million naira. 1 million. Then the likes of, what's that woman's name? Alakija, whatever her name, spending Nigeria's money, thinking they're rich. Like I said, these people, they can have all the money in the world. They will never be rich. You can be a billionaire and be as poor as a church rat. I don't see these people as human beings. I don't even consider them as human beings. These are non-entities, and I don't deal with trash. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Kando. Let's go to Izan. Izan?
Yes, thank you, Rudolph.
Yeah.
So, first of all, I think most people that are making a big issue about the fact that the US congressman or senator came out with this revelation have not been paying attention. This is not a revelation. If you've ever read the works of Chomsky, there's an investigative reporter named Matt Kennard. He called himself a rogue reporter. He released some work, right? Chris Hedges, there's a former US Department of State member, over 20 years on the job, was recently on Joe Rogan's show talking about the activities of USAID and how USAID is a conduit for CIA covert operations. Now, it's one thing to blame your government. I accept that. Your government may be flawed, but you cannot, under any circumstances, blame your government and then not be aware of the threats that are trying to sabotage your country at the same time. Boko Haram has accounted for thousands of lives, millions displaced. There are still IDP camps in Abuja. But you have people here that don't even want to recognize that a foreign nation and a conduit, I call it a special purpose vehicle for covert activities in our country, is being driven to destabilize our nation and keep us in a poverty state.
Thank you so much.
You understand what I'm saying? Now, people will, for some reason, I don't know what's wrong with Nigerians. You wrestle against the fact that an imperialist nation whose history is littered with cases of overthrowing governments, sabotaging governments, assassinating leaders. Let me ask you this. Was it Gaddafi's fault that they attacked his country and released all his armory into the Sahel? That was not his fault. That's not his government's fault. NATO put a no-fly zone over his country, and 53 other African nations watched as that happened. So you're telling me, use your common sense for a second here. You're telling me that that same country that did that is incapable of funding a special purpose vehicle to destabilize Nigeria right after Yar'Adua decided to create the Nile gas project with Gazprom. Put 2 and 2 together, guys. Please, let's wake up. Enough of this. Wake up. Not only did Mike Benz, who is a former Department of State member on Joe Rogan's show, talk about this, he talked about the Sahel in general. He talked about Syria. He talked about all these countries. Clear and day. This has been an operation. In fact, long before this happened, there's a news media outlet called the Grey Zone. They had highlighted that the overthrow of Assad was a covert operation.
Thank you.
There was a false flag put out to overthrow Assad. They've succeeded. People have not been listening, have not been paying attention.
Thank you so much.
The same country that destabilized Libya caused the Sahel to go up in flames. And we're here defending them, saying they're incapable of funding a special purpose vehicle to sponsor Boko Haram in Nigeria.
God bless you.
What the hell, man? Rudolph, it's so disturbing to see Nigerians be more willing. Okay, you know what? Let's count the atrocities of the United States around the world. I'm not even going to include Iraq or Afghanistan.
Give me 50% of my time.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's go to Chile. Let's go to Iran-Contra. Let's go to, in fact, the whole of Central America. Let's go to South America. There was a coup in Brazil. During the proxy wars in Africa, they were fought on African and South American soils. Right? In Angola, who did they support? Even in South Africa, they supported the apartheid regime. Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher were on record calling Nelson Mandela a terrorist. Still, we continue to give them leeway. And Nigerians come on here to make the case that there is no way on earth that a special purpose vehicle could be funded to destabilize our country and keep us in a state of perpetual poverty. This is not about blaming the white man. This is not about blaming a foreign nation for our problems. This is about understanding that there are people attacking your nation, so your nation needs to do what it needs to do to defend itself. I support Ndume for what he has done at the Senate, for inviting the intelligence chief, and they need to take this very seriously. Mike Perry did us a favor. All right? For Trump, with all his imperfections, the one thing I would give him is that he's going to leave us alone.
No, he's not. That's
he's
the point.
Rudolph is going to leave us alone.
Okay, hold on.
He is not going to try to use the imperialist arm to come into our country. This is a fact. Compared to the Democrats,
he's not going to leave us alone. That's not true.
You understand what I'm saying?
No, hold on.
He's so inundated with a bunch of other things. He barely cares about what happens. He thinks we're an asshole. So he barely cares about what happens to us.
Hold on. Let me.
You understand?
I like where you took this to, okay? Because there are two different things we are talking about now. But I like where you took it to. The point is that the CIA, the intelligence agencies in America, they still have interest in Africa and the rest of the world. They will continue to operate, okay? And what I don't want our people to think, nobody's disputing what you said. We know the history of what happened in Congo, in all the parts of Africa. They are also operating everywhere. But for us to limit our understanding of what's happening to us to a statement made by a member of Congress who has no credibility, for him to mention Boko Haram, and then we now assume that, oh, that's the problem we have. This is USAID. No, that's not it. The fact that Trump is doing whatever he's doing doesn't mean that even if their money they are funneling through that organization, they are going to continue to find new ways to do what they continue to do. They're not going to stop. Even if you close down that particular one that the part they're going to continue. I'm not saying that they are not bad people or they're not doing bad things in Africa. I'm saying that the level of our understanding of what we are facing is so poor that if this is the evidence that we have, that will make us to now think that this is how they are doing this. 72 billion, that's small money in US, all over the world, all the activities. No, that is not what is causing the disruption around the world. There is one that you don't know, the one that they're not talking about. There are about 8 intelligence agencies in America here. Some of them do not have buildings, offices, people can point at. These are people doing things, bad things. I'm not saying that they're not doing it. What I'm saying is that for people to go out and be running their mouth that USAID, because somebody said that Boko Haram is being sponsored, and people accept that, it makes me afraid of how much.
Well, Rudolph, here's the thing. Here's the thing. So
Can
The,
you
the
tell
fact
me
that wait a second, please.
I'm going to
please.
bring you, Jide. I'll bring you next after
Please.
him.
The fact that our enemy has overwhelming power is not an excuse to ignore the enemy's capability or what they're doing in our space. And just because Mike Perry said it, Mike Perry is not the first person that said it. That's why I said people that are paying attention to Mike Perry have not been listening to what has happened over the last couple of years, and people that have written about this.
You mean
For goodness sakes, our former foreign, what's his name, that was on our rise recently, said it.
Oh yeah.
He said it. He admitted it. He said that they were on Bolaji Akinyemi. He said that he went to events in the United States and it was pretty much implied that they do not want to see a black African country rise. He did not dismiss this when Mike Perry said it. He probably didn't say it earlier because he didn't have any evidence. In this case here, like, please go and watch the Mike Benz interview on Joe Rogan's show. You will listen to it. And this man had worked for the Department of State for several years. He highlighted everything and broke it down. So the evidence is not solely based on Mike
if
Perry.
I can't give you 4, but I can
I digress.
give you
Thank you, Rudolph, for
2
having me.
plus 2.
All right, thank
we
you.
would then have to come to the conclusion that I'm giving you 4. I served on that committee. And villagers kept telling us that in the middle of the night, helicopters piloted by white people kept landing and offloading guns, goods, and all kinds of and money to these people. Now, villagers they don't even know who these white people are. And they have no reason to lie to us. Now, we made a mistake. When I said we, some of us on the Boko Haram committee made a mistake. We thought it was the French that were doing this. Now we have an American congressman said, no, it was the Americans who were doing this. And when you then add that to the Obama administration refusing to sell weapons to us, to Nigeria, on the grounds that we had human rights violations in the way we were dealing with Boko Haram, not in the way we were dealing with ordinary Nigerians where there were no security issues.
All right, let me stop him there. And
Dr. Damages, I beg, please be cool because of the things that have been said since I spoke.
All right, you
Real
and then
quick.
I'll get you there. So
Whoever that man is whose video you just played, I don't care who he is. He just told you that Americans were flying weapons into Nigeria. But Obama,
can we have our own 2 minutes?
Please let me finish, please.
I'll get you.
He said Americans were flying weapons into Nigeria, but the Obama, whoever, American government was refusing to sell weapons to the Nigerian government. I don't even know what the level of thinking is in this thing. I didn't say anything about whatever congressman said or didn't say. Like I always say, it is very, very valid to know what happened to you or what is happening to you. My question at the end of the day is, what are you going to do about it? I don't care who is witch hunting you. I don't care who is pulling you down. If you're not willing to do anything about it, then you deserve to die. You should die. If you do not stand up and recognize whatever is being done to you and take up whatever you have to do, go and read a book, go and get a PhD to solve the problem, continue complaining. Nigeria will continue to complain for the next 75 years. Somebody did something to you. So what? So what? Are you the first person they first did something to? What are you going to do about it? The Japanese.
Let's have our 2 minutes, please. There's no time.
Did they sit there and say they were enslaved? Just like I tell some of my Black American people. You think you're the first people to get enslaved? If you're not going to do about it, then stop complaining and let them ride over you and crucify you and do whatever they want to do with you like you deserve to be done to. Thank you.
All right, can do. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Okay, is it my turn?
Yeah, Jide, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Damage. I have a lot to say from a lot of people's contribution, and I really appreciate their contribution. First of all, why is it that of all the groups in this world, of all the ethnic groups in this world, it's only Black Africans, not African Americans, Black Africans that will always say that our problem is only within us, only our leaders, that foreigners don't have anything to do with our problem. Why? And wait, does that mean that because some of our people are involved in some of our destruction, does that mean we should now absolve the enemy of his evil and wrong, of his evil actions? That's, by the way, those are the questions I have. Now go towards some of our panelists have said, and I'll have to debunk certain things. So this is the way it works. It is not unique to Nigeria. It was not because Scott Perry said it. Then I said, oh, that's true. They are sponsoring Boko Haram. I've known this for a long time. You see, I would recommend not just our people in the panelists, but also people that are making comments and listening, to go and read foreign policy documents of the US to understand their strategies, how they implement some of this, how they develop some of these terrorist networks to facilitate US interests. We need to understand these things. It's not just a matter of what's going on in northern Nigeria with Boko Haram. This is a network. This has happened in Russia. We can look at what happened in the 2000s under Putin, when they used Al-Qaeda. CIA sponsored Al-Qaeda to destabilize Russia. I can give so many examples. We can see the most recent example now in Syria. The way these people work is where there are natural resources, they have to expel the people there and cause instability to ensure that multinational corporations go get to exploit it. Also, they use all these terrorist networks to actually destabilize countries and cause regime change operations. We have that in Libya. We see that under Muammar Gaddafi. We see that under Muammar Gaddafi. We see that in Syria. We see that even what are they calling it? We see that even in what are they calling this country? So many other countries, Afghanistan, so many other countries that I can go on and I'm talking about. But the point is, this is not unique to Nigeria. And it is not because Scott Perry said it. This is part of the plan. They use extremists, not just, what are they calling it? Not just terrorists. They use a lot of other, not just religious terrorists. They use other extremist groups to cause destabilization in countries they don't like. It's part of the foreign policy. We need to understand this country's foreign policy. Donald Trump being in power is not going to change it. They are trying to reorganize, re-strategize. It is not a matter of they are trying to stop it. No, because the abolition of USAID or all these NGOs that we're now aware of, that they're trying to stop the use of terrorists to carry out their interests. No, it is still there. It is still there, but they're not trying to re-strategize. We need to understand what they call proxy. Proxy. We need to understand those words. Because Black Africans don't even know some other things. Maybe because our colonial education is still there. That's why a lot of us still have that colonial mentality. We need to understand what they call proxy. Russia and Ukraine, they are brothers and sisters. They are fighting each other. But you need to understand that Russia is actually fighting the West. We need to understand these things. There's a proxy war between Russia and the West. Even though Ukraine, they have ancestral linkage, cultural connections with Russia. But Ukraine is a proxy. Now, talking about the slave trade, this nonsense narrative that blacks enslave blacks, it is one of the worst and most misleading narratives I've ever had in my life. That is absolutely nonsense. That's absolutely nonsense. Blacks did not enslave blacks because of they was trying to enslave blacks for the white man. No, that was not what happened. The same strategy they used now, they used it at that time, like my friend said, what's his name? And Izon said, they will go and destabilize kingdoms and put their so-called rulers, and they will use those rulers to go and invade other kingdoms, and they will kidnap people and enslave them and take them to the ship. Who own the ships? Who owned all the guns, all the mercenaries they used? It was the Europeans. And like I said, whoever is not willing to follow that rule, they will go and destabilize that kingdom. One of the most common kingdoms like that is the Congo kingdom under Queen Nzinga. She resisted the Portuguese for centuries because she didn't want to enslave her own people. I can go on and on. We need to understand these things. And I don't know, I don't have enough time to explain, but I'll just stop there. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. The flagship.
Thank you, Rudolph. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon to everybody on the panel. You know, I'm trying to figure out where to start from. This is very disturbing to me. It is very, very disturbing. Sometimes education, as we call it, the white man's education that we roam so much into, ingest and forget our senses and take everything they give to us, is one of our biggest problems as Africans. You and I are out sitting down here waiting for proof to tell us who is causing our problems. The hundreds of thousands, if not millions of families in Nigeria that have suffered losses one way or the other are looking at you and me today debating Scott Perry. Who cares if it's Scott Perry that says it? I don't care if it's the cleaner in his office or somewhere in the White House, some WikiLeaks guy that blows this information out. It's a smoking gun. Take it, go investigate it, find out facts and information. For some reason, we think that America is Father Christmas. America doesn't give you anything for free. It will never give you anything for free. You and I live here, for those of us who live in the US here. Nothing, absolutely nothing belongs to you. The government controls it. Even your home, if you don't own a cent on it, it still is not your property. So USID is now the big conversation. Oh no, that's not what they're doing. They are the savior, the Jesus of the world that has so much money to give out to the rest of the world, while there are beggars on the streets of America. There are homeless people, hungry kids that are living in America. But America is so good to give you $70+ billion every year. Yeah, you call it peanuts, but it's for nothing, or it's not for nothing, rather. I was reading one tweet from a major so-called journalist in Nigeria, talking about I've been asking for proof for the past 3 days, and nobody has been able to give me one. Guess what? Our forefathers have been waiting for proofs for 64 years, 65 counting, and they have not gotten any, while the decimation of our countries and our continent continues. We're waiting for them to give us proof. What happened to the 400 names that the UAE gave to us not long ago? What did we do with it? So Scott Perry tells you that part of the money that is made for kids, women in the North, is being used to fund these guys. It's not enough for you to go back and take a look at it. In the North, education is nothing. Women don't have rights. So where is all that money per se in that USID funds or grants that they give? What is it being used for? Imageries are everywhere on the streets. It's Jonathan that built schools for them. Did they use it? No. So if the villagers are saying there are choppers dropping stuff off, there are aid workers that will drive big vans and call and complain that they have problems, vans loaded up with aids, medicines, and everything. Think about it. And you wake up in the morning, the van is empty. Where did it all go to? We're waiting for someone to tell us who is hurting us in our continent. Gaddafi is an example. Zimbabwe is there. Sierra Leone, Liberia. The list goes on. The US has a drone base in Ghana as we speak. What are they doing there? Our own army, with the jets that we have, cannot even pinpoint where the terrorists are, take them out without taking our communities every single time they fly those birds in the air. But the terrorists can fly a drone, get precision target on our bases, and drop bombs and take out our soldiers. What are you waiting for? You're asking for help. So America is just the absolute authority in everything. These guys are killing us. Delogun was just here last week. He told you of his story of the man he met on the train and how he ended up in DC and what he saw. Go read his books. And you and I are talking about Scott Perry, who has no foundation. Who cares if he doesn't have a foundation? He's got an information that looks like an answer that you and I have been waiting for. The question that we've been asking ourselves is, who is arming these guys? How are they getting these things? Where are they getting it from? How can they be carrying weapons that are more sophisticated than our armed forces ever have? And you are waiting for proof. And the country is going up in flames. The blood of Nigerians, millions of Nigerians, have soaked that ground. And you and I are waiting for proofs. We're sitting and eating with these guys. I don't care if it's Trump. I don't care if it's Biden, Obama, whoever it is. Our country is going down. If you choose not to call it a country, the people in that geographical expression according to our World War, they are dying by the day. And 79 billion is not doing anything to help us. Like the gentleman that spoke not long ago, Izona, if I don't pronounce your name very well, please forgive me, said, we need to wake up. If you're waiting for America to help you do it, they will not. You have what they need. They want to come there, get it at your expense. Yes, Friday, I was in a town hall meeting, and I'll end with this, with the congressman that represents my district. And he made a comment. Of course, if you go to CNN, you see the news. And he said, and I quote, USID and every grant or funds that the federal government gives is for nothing. If they give you money, they must tell you how to spend it. And you're waiting for proofs? I walked up to him and I asked him, I want to get those documents. You spoke about USID. Is rattling my country today. Please, would your office be kind to give me proof or whatever you can lay your hands on? I want to see what you have. And he said, yes, he would work on it. And I'm waiting to see it. So we cannot sit down here as Africans and be speaking big grammar when our home base is going out. We're in a foreign man's land, for God's sake. So we have big homes, we have big cars, good jobs, fat bank accounts. We have people at home. Even if you don't have anybody, you came from there. Babangida just came out yesterday, called himself an evil genius, and we named him Maradona. Yes, why would he not be Maradona? Because while he was dancing around the football field with the ball, we all stood with our arms folded, looking at him. So he can play very well. And 32 or 33 years later, he's coming to tell us what we already know. You want me to go pay money to read that book? It's an incomplete book. Who killed Abacha? Who killed Abiola? Who are the people involved in this plot of yours? Don't come here and tell me that your hands were tied. You were in Katsina, but at the same time on my TV screen, back home, I saw you announce it. It's been annulled. And you're giving me a half-cooked or half-baked book to read. I will not read it. Bring everything out, and let's talk about it. I'll end there.
All right. Thank you, the flagship. Kene?
Thank you, the flagship. Thank you, Jide. See, these are the gentlemen that we have here. Sometimes we try to provoke them. We should learn not to, because seeing gentlemen like this. But this is it. Somebody was asking for approval, right?
Sorry,
and I want to ask I want to ask that person. US aid, whatever you call them, I call them US aid. Is an organization that I think some people work there, and mostly citizens, right? My question to Africans, especially those defending the activities of US aid, who among you, or your neighbor, or your brother, or your friend that is of African descent, that is a citizen, that has gotten a job with USAID. Number one. Trump claimed that Hillary Clinton created ISIS. Trump said it. I did not say that. Hillary Clinton did not take Trump to court for defamation. Now, put one or two together for those looking for evidence. Elon Musk called USAID a criminal organization. If USAID thinks that Elon Musk lied against it or defamed it, they should have taken Elon Musk to court. But no, USAID, Hillary Clinton, they don't know the road to court. But our fellow African brothers and sisters all know the road to court, and they are here to defend USAID and the criminal Democrats. USAID has been exposed. And according to Dr. Damages, we have about 8 organizations, or security, whatever, working for US. One has been exposed through USAID. Now, our prayers now will be for the rest, the remaining 7, to be exposed as well for their evil activities. Now, this is it. I was on the comment section saying that the moderator should mute Dr. Damages for interjecting. I didn't remember that Dr. Damages was the moderator. Now, the thing is, we are attacking the people exposing corruption instead of attacking the corruption and the perpetrators of the corruption. Please, let's be very, very analytical with whatever we are doing here. We leave the corrupt people, we leave the corruption allegations, but we are attacking the person exposing this corruption. Now, Trump recently, I think about 2 days ago, read out some corruption allegations against the so-called Democrats and the IRS and the Social Security Office, claiming that in this America that you and I are living, that there are some people that are of 180 years old, 170 years old, receiving Social Security benefits in millions in this country. We are still looking for evidence. Okay. NGOs are being used to terrorize our African countries. Wherever you see chaos, wherever you see terrorism activities, wherever you see war in Africa, you always see NGOs roving around. What are they doing there? Roving around like flies. What are they doing there? And we are still questioning the evil activities of USAID in Africa. We still want evidence, as if you're going to, I don't know why you are asking for evidence from a terrorist. So a terrorist should come and surrender evidence to you. And we call ourselves analytical thinkers. There was another claim that Hillary Clinton's daughter, Chelsea Clinton, was given $84 million by this same USAID as a, what they call it, a supposed relief funds to Haiti. Out of that $84 million, only $3 million was used. The rest was pocketed by Chelsea Clinton. What is her job again? What is her business again? But she's a billionaire, right? Good. And we are still looking for evidence. See, until we stop being beggars, until we Africans stop being almajiris to the whites, our problem will continue to get worse. We are here. Our sister country or brother country, Congo, is being decimated, destroyed to pieces. You go to Congo now, you see UN there. You see US organizations, NGOs there. They could not stop the war. Actually, they are the one looting and destroying our countries. Libya was paid with evil. Their president was killed, was spied, and Libya was destroyed. Goodluck Jonathan ran to Obama seeking for weapons to buy weapons. He was ready to pay for the weapons. Obama said, no, hell no, I'm not going to sell weapons to you. But Buhari came and they were giving weapons to the extent that the northern governors and northern politicians came to say thank you to Obama for the job well done, frustrated Nigeria and destroyed Nigeria to pieces. See, Boko Haram operates with vehicles, brand new vehicles. They operate with guns. These vehicles have what we call, in Nigeria, they call it chassis number. In America, they call it VIN number, vehicle identification number. If I get your VIN number, I can run the history of that VIN number, even tell you the owner of that car. Those vehicles, where are they from? If you see American car, American vehicle anywhere, you will recognize this is American vehicle. You don't need to be told, unless if you don't know anything about cars. Where are they? Where were they getting those new vehicles from? Those new trucks, where were they getting it from? Who was the president again during this when these activities was was going on? Obama, right?
Dr. Damages.
Democrat, clap for yourself, keep defending evil when you see one. Keep defending evil.
Can I thank you? Thank you. Us. In the first place, I never asked for any evidence of. I don't, like I said, I don't care who your problem is. The only thing I care about, Dr. Damages, how many African NGOs do you know are in America or in Britain or in France? How many African NGOs are over there helping them? The bottom line is fix your house. I don't care who is making problem for you. If you're not willing or you're not able to fix your house, you deserve to die. Die.
Can do. That's thank you. Yeah, I think he was referring to me, not even you. Some of the comments are for me. Janaba, welcome to the show. Before Janaba, what I will do now is I will get Janaba, forefathers, and Izon to come back and conclude on this topic because we have to round up. But before then, I just want to point out that this is my concern. Most of the things Kene just said now are things you see circulating everywhere. Some of them are not credible, but I don't have to fight over that. This is my concern. It's something that Einstein said. He said that the level of thinking that put us into the problems we are facing, for us to get out of it, we have to go beyond that level. If we still think along that level, we're not going to get out of it. The kind of things that I hear, I'm just concerned about the way we think. People think that Trump will stop the security agencies in America from doing what they've always done. That's not true. They will continue to do that because that's how they get the advantage they have over other countries. Also, we're talking about security agencies. China is doing exactly the same thing. The fact that we haven't brought it out is not that it's not happening. That's how nations work. We're not saying this is a new thing. We're saying that Africans, all of us, we tend to look for excuses. Instead of look at Akinyemi, Professor Akinyemi. Before this thing happened, he was part of a committee that looked into Boko Haram. They assumed that it was the French that was dropping bombs into Nigeria, giving them arms and everything. What did they do? They didn't even alert the country. They didn't do anything. Assuming it was the French, and then what? If you are running a country and you believe this is happening, and you don't take any action, you're waiting for somebody, a congressman, to tell you, oh, this is the USAID sponsoring Boko Haram, and people start getting excited about that, and that's their the way they read it. So the point I'm making is that it's beyond just one issue. It's how we think, how we rationalize things. We know that the history of Africa is full of interventions from other countries, not just the United States. Britain, all these countries, powerful nations, that's how they operate. But what are we going to do? Are we going to just touch on something that it's not the issue. The issue is not about Boko Haram and USAID, but that's how our mind, the smallness of our mind. That's my concern. That's why I brought this topic up, because I hear it from different people. Like, okay, it's concluded. That's it. Anyway, John Abba, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Rudy, for having me. I come early, but we talk about marginalization, and marginalization is just what you see by your left and right hand. But so I decided to leave because I'm marginalized often here, but it's all right. I can bear it. Um, which one you want me to talk about now?
Oh, if you're not ready, then we go to somebody
I'm
else.
ready.
There are
Which
people
one
who
you
are
want me
ready.
to talk?
No, we're talking about Scott
What you are
Perry.
talking at random and
Scott
Paris
Perry.
and why should am I a baby that I should wait for somebody to tell me that that language or Babangida issue is an issue that keeping us as a black people backward? We are our own problem. So, so I have to wait for one white man or one councilman or one senator to tell me that U.S. aid is not doing anything or that the one causing havoc. That before you know, or you want to tell me now that Trump is doing so good for us now that we can be left alone because of Trump? Are you naive? Before you were using MapQuest. Before you have MapQuest, they have it. It's outdated. Then they give you GPS. Then GPS is outdated. Then they give you several things. So before now they are pulling this out. They have other plan because that is not that designing that strategy. That's what it means. It doesn't mean that this is good for Africa or Trump is going to leave us alone and we now can be a free nation without interference from the most powerful nation on earth. If that is the way we think, it's a long walk to freedom. I don't think that what is happening is just because whether it's a Democrat or Republican. What happened is that Trump is very vocal. He talk about it. He can stay in the toilet and tweet about anything. That is the way he does his stuff. But this is how they have been dominating the world. What it means is that the US aid that they used to cost in is outdated strategy for them, and they have another thing to do to use. It's just like many years ago, they used the infantry soldier to fight the war. The time comes, they use drone. They don't need to go in person. So they have another monitoring and another way. So they are withdrawing that, and that's what is happening. But the only thing is when the black man like you and I can come here and be arguing like this, it's a mind-boggling that we still are left out of the whole strategy of the world, especially we in the West. So you can imagine Babangida in his own cave in Niger, even though he built 50 bedroom flat that you can only stay in one. But I don't want to give excuse like a poor man because it's only poor man saying that two people will not sleep in, you are one person, you can't sleep in two beds at the same time. That's the poor people's this thing. But the point is that we, the black people, forget all these people you are saying, whether it's Babangida as powerful it could be, and all of these people that went there for his book launch, they have no clue. These are clueless individuals. They have been removed by the West all their life, and they are used to it. It's just like now, if I tell you that a little thing, I will tell you now, even maybe half of people here now will argue with me that no, why do you say that? Oh, if I tell you now, show me Jesus is an ideology, you will tell me, oh, why? Why is the ideology? You black. This is how we have been wired all our life. And it's a shameful thing that even when we have seen what is humanly possible, we still doubt what our eyes can see and our ear can hear. But in any case, I always love to come and see you with your good glasses. You look cool as usual. As bad as forefather could be, you used to wear something and you look like it's a reverend father. And today that thing is a little inside. But you guys that wear glasses, you can't drive me in the day or in the night. Good to see you, brother.
All right. Thank you, Janaba. The only thing I understood from what you said, Janaba, is that the US, if you ask anybody in America, they will tell you that their most sophisticated fighter jet is F-35 and F-22. But that's not true. If they start selling F-35 to you, you know that they already have other sophisticated jets. Yeah. So that's all I understood from what you said.
Yeah.
forefathers welcome to the
I'm
show.
glad you understood that. Of all I have said, that is what you understood, and,
Yeah.
and at least you understand that I mean that all that we are saying is a good thing. That this is our updated program. Pull this out. We have something. That is all. Thank you. I know you have brain. I know. I know.
All
Dr.
right.
Damages, can I quickly just say something,
Yeah,
please?
go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes. I see that people are talking about yes. We all know, except for people that are not. I don't even think people that are not educated. I don't think they believe that West don't have. They don't have. They are not committing atrocious behavior on our continent. They are not in our business. I don't think that is the bone of contention. That is not what we are talking about. What we are talking about is what about our people as well. When that professor said they thought it was the French that was, dropping stuff and all that. What did they do? Why is it now that they are now coming out to say, yes, we thought it was the French? It was just like, for me, it was just like they're trying to shift blame. We understand what the West is, we understand what they're doing. We know, everyone knows that is not the point. We know the atrocious, the atrocity they are committing to us. But what we are talking about, what about our own people? Why is it like a jail freak? These people that are now saying is the West. What did they do at that time? Did they come out to even cry out to say at any point? Did they even say the French people are dropping whatever with helicopter? So why are they not? Where was nothing? Cricket from them. Now they're looking for where to shift the blame. And yes, they are just going to say USAID. What about our leaders? What did they do? What was it? We saw on a video where Ganduje received dollars in his pocket. Nothing was done. We have people problem too. We have outsiders coming to Allah, but we have our people problem. We have people problem on our continent, in our countries. So that is where I am talking about. We know they are committing atrocious things. We know that they are bombing our people, but our leaders are as well as bad, and they are doing nothing. I don't want to hear that, oh, Jonathan did this, that's one. What did Jonathan do except for crying? So I'm not going to give them a jail-free card on this. For me, the West, let them eat themselves. I'm here for their destruction, for what they did to us. I'm here for their destruction, but our people are as equal guilty. Our leaders, we should hold them accountable too, and not give them a jail free card and saying Idume is not a reliable person to say you want to open investigation into somebody. These people they have bastardized everything, so they have the mouth, the guts to be telling us they want to open investigation that will go nowhere, that they will actually keep because they're part of it. So I think we should not come here and tell each other what the West are doing, except if you are not educated, if your eyes are not open, then you can tell the people that are in the village what the West are doing. But I think we should hold our leaders accountable as well. Nobody should get a jail-free card.
All right. Thank you.
Dr. Damages, please, can you indulge me just 1 minute? Just to support what the lady has said, the 6 people who were jailed in Dubai as some of those supporting Boko Haram have always been known to the Nigerian government. They didn't do anything. Even if you play that video that you played on Professor Akinyemi, he did say when they asked him to mention names, he refused. He didn't have the guts to mention the names of the people who are involved. And he did say that the Nigerian ambassador to the US at the time was always receiving reports. In fact, wrote to the Nigerian government, gave names of people who were coming to the US to have meetings and doing some very suspicious things. The government didn't do anything. So just to support what she's saying, because it's like, oh, if it wasn't for Trump, we wouldn't know that this is happening or this is happening. The Nigerian government had always known. They have always said it. Jonathan knew it. The government knows that there are people. In fact, it was even said by the CDS, by the military, that there are people within the system who are giving information to Boko Haram on the things. The America said it to us. They told us. They gave some intel about the movement of Boko Haram, and Nigerian security agencies should move. That information got to Boko Haram. That Nigeria was planning an attack against them. So what I understand you are saying is like, oh, if it wasn't for this revelation by Perry, then Nigeria would not have known. Nigeria has always known. So the will And the political will to deal with this issue is what we have been lacking since. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ton. Let's hold on. Okay, let me hear from Fofadas. I'll come to you next.
Greetings, Dr. Damages. Thank you for having me, and greetings to all the panelists, the chat, and the viewers. This is why I like Trump being in office to an extent, because he starts peeling off some of the facade that is out there. It's not necessarily because he's friendly to us. Obviously, you can see how he was inviting the South African white people to come to America while he was busy deporting all the people from the South. So clearly it's for white people. I've been saying it forever. This is the way the world behaves. Trump tend to unmask the niceties the Democrats try to cover with their diabolical ways of doing things. And in terms of priorities, if we want to compare the West to China, it's like when a lion has come and consumed the human flesh. Do you know why human beings chase that lion to finish that lion off? Because that lion has tasted human flesh. And we know the people that have tasted our flesh more. And you can't prioritize the hyena standing behind the lion while the lion is eating you right now. You have to know which one to go for first. And we know the ones that are consuming us continuously. And it's for us to act. And when I've been saying this stuff for ages, they think this is a joke. If you look at the bottom of my name there, if you want the solution for your problem, fix those things. You find that your country will be strong. If you don't fix your security, forget it. If you don't have law order, forget it. If you don't have technological revolution, forget it. You are just joking around. And the reason why people don't respond, and you can also argue that why Ndume didn't say anything, because the people are not ready. I come here all the time, I say this, and some people think I'm crazy. When the day of tribulation come, this eye that is opening slowly now, it will be so clear you don't need to convince them. And this is why all those nations that I keep describing that have gone through hell, that went on to build the civilization that we are watching today, like China, is because the people saw it with their own eyes. The Mao's don't need to preach to them that much. Mao's don't have to tell them too much. They saw what it was like with their own eyes. And our people don't know what it's like. We have not seen it. We've not seen the day. We were not present when the Benin Empire fell. Most of our generation, or the generation before us and the one before that one, were not present when the Benin Empire fell. They were not present when the Yoruba Kingdom, Lagos, all of them fell, when their whole world was turned upside down. If we had witnessed it like the way the Chinese witnessed the Japanese come to destroy their home, and their country was destroyed with nuclear weapons, North Korea, 80% of their structures destroyed. All these people are stronger than us now. How is it that people that were almost decimated barely 60 years ago are more advanced than us today? That their countries were almost completely decimated. Who destroyed us? We literally destroyed ourselves with ignorance. It's just what it is. And there's nothing else you can do about it. Human nature is, if they don't see something and they don't feel it in their bone, they don't act. No matter what you tell them. I will say this over and over again. They won't hear it. They will think this is a joke business. It is not optional. Don't act as if you have option whether you do it or not. Those things that you have there, if you don't do it, you are going to die. Just like what's his name? I've forgotten his name. The one that was saying, if you don't do anything about your enemy, you die. It's period. There is no. It's not. There's no wishy-washy about it. You pretend as if it's not. They don't exist. Too. You're going to pretend as if your enemy is going to fall and die. Your enemy will not fall and die. These people are proving that they never fall and die, and they are getting stronger. If we know the challenges we are facing, we will really be concerned. When they were here before, they could only get a ship, come to our land, carry as many as possible. Now, with one ballistic missile, the entire continent will be in rubbles. And they have the ability to learn even faster now with the AI that they are developing. They have ability to invent new things with the quantum technology that they are beginning to be able to manipulate matter at an atomic level. Do you know the kind of power they are gaining? And we just sit here acting ignorant as if all this has no consequence. It does. And our leaders, until we start waking up to realize that this fear we have is an illusion. If you have that fear, you are going to die anyway.
For sure you will. They could choose that they want to wipe you out. They could choose they want to take your land. For whatever reason they like, they can do whatever they like. The point is, if you don't do anything about it, don't act as if the consequences are not going to come. You may not be alive when it comes, but it will come eventually. And it's our job to make sure we let our people know as much as possible. As much as possible. That's all we can do. And if, God help me, and somebody gives me the opportunity to advise somebody or get in the position, I will do a lot of damage. Even if they kill me, I don't care. I will make sure I get our people to the point where at least they have a bit more freedom to determine their fate. The same thing with people like Izon, or the same thing like Kandu. People like that, we need people that are willing to take the risk with the people. Because if you keep being scared, like Ndume, they were scared to say anything about Dubai terrorist funders. They will be scared to question Americans. If you are scared, what is that going to do for you? You survive from today to tomorrow as if they are going to get weaker. They're not going to get weaker. We are the ones getting weaker. They are getting stronger. On and on and on. And this is what Russia refused to accept. This is what China refused to accept. Other people refuse to accept it. Even the Arab world refused to accept it. The Arab world has lost almost every conflict to the West. Till today, they are still fighting them. They've lost every conflict in the recent, more than over almost 1,000 years. They've lost almost all conflict to the West. And they are still opposing them. What are we doing? Every time they tell us, we are scared. We are scared. Why are we scared? We have some of the greatest diaspora. We have almost 50 million in the US, the most powerful nation on earth. We have a lot of millions of people in South America. We have millions in Europe. We have about 1.something billion. Who is talking for that 1.something billion people? Nothing is protecting us. Why are we so scared of our own shadow? Sooner or later, I feel like people like Trump, they will open our people's eyes, and maybe, just maybe, we'll start questioning our leaders a little bit more. All this nonsense you see with Congo, they are fighting each other. You see the Boko Haram fighting us. And you see some of our people, that's the one that scared me the most. It scares me the most. Some of our people here, if a woman gives them guns to go and fight fellow Nigerians, they will do it. Some of them will be, and those ones scare me the more because they use those people as control vectors. So if your leader wants to do something, they will say, the IPOB is there. They like me. If I just go to IPOB, they will fight you. All I need to give them weapons. Now you see the dangers our leaders are facing. Because they too are mumu. Instead of them to work with their own people and bring their people closer so that you are not that easy to divide. So the whole thing, the things that are needed to be done is multifaceted if they don't reveal it to you. But if they reveal it to you, it's easier. And I just hope Trump reveals it more and more to us. Let him prepare our people. You know how that man, Dr. Damages plays and says, let Nigerian people suffer. When they suffer enough, then they will not vote Tinubu anymore. Let Trump reveal it to us. The more he reveals it to us, the more our people, their eye will open. Even the American people, their eyes are opening even more now. But the Bidens, those people are awful. They will close your eye while they are killing you. Man, I will stop there. Thank you.
Dr. Dameji,
Hold on.
respond to you and Bibire. You called me out, please. 30 seconds. You and Bibire called me out. Let me use 30 seconds, please.
Excuse me, I didn't call you.
I'm supporting Tinubu 100%.
You're supporting Tinubu
100% to deal with Nigerians. People like you. So that when next election comes, I will now see whether when people bring money, you will vote for them or you will do your conscience.
Yeah, Dr. Lemage, just 30 seconds. See, we all agreed that our rulers, they've all failed us. We all agreed that the West is destroying Africa. Nobody's contesting this with you. We're all in agreement with, to this. But the fact is that none of the previous administrators or regimes have, tried to expose the activities of their Western impact in Africa. But Trump is the only one exposing the activities of his own people against our people. And you are here attacking Trump that is exposing his people instead of giving him credit for exposing it. None of the previous regimes or government has done this, but only Trump is doing it. So what we are asking for is give Trump credit for exposing it, just like forefathers, stated here. He's the one exposing this, and we should give him credit for that. Some of us don't know about this.
Yeah, 1 minute.
We are knowing it for the first time. Sorry.
Can I 1 minute is up? So my fear, okay, is that you the level of thinking you are using it to deal with this issue now is what I'm worried about. You're assuming that Trump is doing this for you. You're assuming that Trump is doing this.
No, you are assuming that he's not doing it for me. You are assuming that he's doing it against me.
No.
You see, we are all assuming.
No. I want us to think beyond that. You know, we agree. All of us here can agree that the U.S. interest is the U.S. interest, not your
exactly.
Okay. So for you to now think that this man, whatever is going on now, that is for you, is what is talking to me.
I have my reasons. Have you listened to his mantra? Make America great again. He's trying to save money, cut cost for Americans, and thereby exposing the evil of his own country.
That's okay. If you want to save money for America, you go to the defense budget, you go to where the money is, not this place. But anyway, Azon, go ahead. Let's round up this topic.
Yeah, Rudolph, thank you. I think people are missing the point here. I've listened to some counter arguments against highlighting the activities of US aid in Nigeria. You know, holding your government accountable is one thing, and we can all agree that our government has a high level of incompetence that we need to hold them to. Fine, I get that. Nobody's disputing that fact. But we also need to agree that a foreign intelligence agency using an arm that's supposed to be for aid and development as a conduit for its covert activities in our nation is a fundamental problem to how we operate. As a matter of fact, not only should our security officials be awoken to this thing, we also need to pay attention to how our NGOs are getting funded, how our NGOs are operating. In fact, one of the things I've been looking into, and I'm going to finally get, is the number of non-governmental organizations and non-profits in Nigeria that have received money from USAID. Because let's not forget, one of the key things USAID does, capacity building, civil society development, right? This is one of their major areas. And from what I have heard, I would suggest everyone go and listen to Mike Benz's interview on Joe Rogan. From what I have heard, they use this to compromise thousands of people within a geographical space. And when the time is right, those media groups will publish articles and pieces against the sitting government to depose that government. They also use civil society groups to stage walkout labor organizations. So they have a number of different activities on ground to conduct ways if a government does not agree to their foreign interests. This is a fact. And so every single form of capacity building that's being done or has been done that was funded by USAID within the borders of our nation should be looked into. And Rudolph, this is my biggest concern in this thing. It's not that it's USAID that has been funding Boko Haram. It's the fact that there are a lot of Nigerians, maybe thousands, that are compromised in this situation. Thousands are compromised because thousands of Nigerians have received money from USAID. Thousands of Nigerians have made their livelihood from funds received from USAID. So we are wrestling against our very own people, not government alone. Maybe some governments are involved. Who knows? Who knows how deep this goes? If I was in charge of security in Nigeria, that's exactly what I'll be looking at. And not only that, I'll be looking at how to prevent situations where so-called aid, charity, handouts being given to our people are discontinued. Because supposedly we need to take this feeding bottle approach out. This feeding bottle approach is what is compromising us. Because Rudolph, you and I know Americans, and we understand one thing. What they say, there's no such thing as a free lunch. They give you money, there are strings attached. They will compromise your citizens and they will challenge your sovereignty. And before you know what's happening, they're not running your country anymore. This is a big issue. And it's something that we need to pay about. So all of you that want to just sit down and continue to blame the Nigerian government, fine. We can all sit down here and blame them. We agree on that. But at the end of the day, you have to understand that when you're dealing with this sort of situation, it's not just about the Nigerian government. And what kind of things will be put in place to mitigate against a reoccurrence of not just USAID. Like Rudolph, you said, it could be the Chinese, it could be the Russians, it could be anybody. But at the end of the day, you need to put things in place so your environment, your country is not subject to this sort of thing. And that's why I salute what Ndume is doing. At the very least, they're bringing intelligence chiefs in to have a conversation so they can figure out exactly how deep this rabbit hole goes. All right. Thank you for having me, Rudolph.
No,
Go ahead.
Before you go, I wanted to
Yeah.
get your thinking on this. You know, the diplomatic cable that we had about, and some of the people who spoke to the American officials and gave them information, remember, they are now running the country. So when you said if you were in charge of security or intelligence, I just thought that someone like you can now be in charge, because those people who are in charge, they are trained here. Remember that. And
that's part of the problem, Rudolph.
They didn't start today. They were trained in those capitals, and they've
Correct.
been working with them. And to have your national security advisor, have your own president who going to talk to the Americans, giving them information, and now they are running the country. How do you begin? You know? So,
but you see, the country is compromised. Let's just come out and say it, okay? Hands down. But just because we're compromised, Rudolph, does it mean that we need to throw in the towel and give up?
No,
exactly. Right. So yes, we're listen, this Tinubu thing, you and I, we can talk about this and we won't stop talking about it. We know exactly what's going on with it. He's leveraged. There's no question about it. Just think about this. The same covert organization, foreign intelligence organization, that is able to create this sort of arrangement that will compromise most of our citizens, will know that our current president, right, has a major drug case in the US, and they won't use that to their advantage. Come on now. And not just that, I mean, he goes to France all the time for medical treatment. Do you think the French intelligence agencies are not looking at his medical records every day and laughing?
Exactly.
So well, leverage. I agree with you. But I think this has been, you know, I'm not a MAGA guy, don't get me wrong, but I can recognize certain things. Because of what happened to Trump, you know, they indicted him. He has a mugshot. Whomever tried to assassinate him, we don't have evidence on that, right? But they did. I think that put him in a position where he wanted to expose some of the activities of these people. And whether or not it was meant to benefit us, somehow it has. And it has put us in a position where we can now try to address this. But let's not stop at addressing this. That's the point I'm making, is that, and look, that we just don't have the infrastructure to do it in our country. But in some countries, if the president is compromised, then he's gone. They will force him to step down. But you and I know it's not going to happen in the Nigerian space. But it is a valid point you bring up. You know, so
all right,
I can see it. Yeah, I'll let Niger continue with his build up an army argument.
Thank you so much. We are going to take a break. We've not taken a break. When we come back, we have a new stream that will start, and two Niger forefathers who.
Can I speak before you? Can I speak?
No,
please, just 2 minutes. I want to speak on this topic.
Have 2 minutes. 1 minute.
Democrats are not allowed. I don't know why is that.
One minute. Man of proceed. Go ahead. 1 minute.
No, not 1 minute. 2 minutes. So my point, I'm gonna make it rapid. So we all come here, you know, to utilize about Trump. Amazon is one of them. Forefather doesn't know what he's talking about. Is political hack, you know, doesn't even know what the truth is. I mean, Trump doesn't mean well. He doesn't care about, you know, you exposing all these people they're exposing. It's about the oversight that he's doing. It's all about America. He didn't just come and say, okay, I'm going to expose all this criminality going on everywhere in your country. Them to better. It's not about that. You're not paying attention to what's going on in America. That's what we call a constitutional crime. That's what's looming right now. You know, maybe a lot of them like is having a buyer remorse. You know, if I'm so look at what's going on. Trump is getting the whole thing in Nigeria, in America. I mean, I'm going to give you a statistics about his poll. Look at the first time when he first came. Look at the current poll we have right now. People think that it's going to last. He's underwater. 45% disapprove of him. I mean, 45% approve of him. 51% disapprove of him. Can I go on? Let me talk about the federal workers. You have 41% approve, 49% disapprove. Everything is underwater. Look at Russia.
That's expected.
And 47%, you know, disapprove. I can go on and go on. Look at the economy. 62% of people disapprove of his economy. I mean,
But that is expected.
We are just in the early stage of his captainship right now, and he's underwater. There's never an American president in 70 years history that is underwater. This is supposed to be his honeymoon, and you're just think Trump is doing good for you. Wait and see, It's not about you. Trump is all about make America great, and everybody, look at what's going on in the stock market. Yesterday was the worst year, 745, it started a week about 300, 400. So everything has been going down the hill since he came in. And, like a Kene here, I'm always going to pick on a Kene. You think he's going to come here and screw you on the economy. You used to buy whatever you buy, $25. Now you're going to be buying it $40. The economy is tanking. And he has no clue.
Are you talking about ghost workers that were sacked?
All
right.
You get what you want, okay?
Thank you.
That's the beginning.
Thank you so much, Man of Prestige. Let's take a break. We're back, and forefathers will carry on with the show.
All right. Thank you so much for hanging in here with us. It's been a wonderful show today. This is just the part one of the show. We are going to go over to the part two. We have so many topics we didn't touch on, which we are going to touch on. One of them is Trump. So, Kenneth, you may be interested in this, how Trump is screwing up Ukraine and the panic in Europe over what Trump is doing in Ukraine. Of course, we also have Edwin Clark, who passed away this week. Wanted to talk about that and his generation of Nigerians and what it means moving forward. Man of Prestige, that's from you. Also, Val Ozigbo, who is a candidate for governorship in Anambra State.
Sure. You want me go ahead?
No. Your noise is coming from you.
He said, Kenne, wait.
Noise is coming from you. That's why I mentioned your name, Man of Prestige. So we have Valentine Ozigbo, who is running for governor of Anambra State. He left Labour Party and went to APC this week. We're trying to get him on the show. Maybe next week we'll get him to come on 90 Minutes Africa and explain to us what's going on. And of course, Nigerian military, they released former Boko Haram terrorists into the communities and what that means. So these conversations will continue when we go over to Forefathers stream, which is coming up next. We also have the ladies show coming up at 6 p.m. US time, which will be, I think, 11 or 12 in Nigeria, 12 midnight in Nigeria. So I want to thank everybody that joined the show today. I really appreciate all of you, the people on the comment section, the people that supported the show through contribution. One man, Dr. Gomez, Nana, and Kulata. Thank you all, Igbo Basics, for your support, Man of Prestige, and Kulata. So, on that note.
Yeah, did you miss Natasha and that man from your list?
Yeah, Natasha and Akpabio. We didn't even talk about that. That's a major topic. Maybe I should join again. I should join the. Let's go over to this new stream. Forefathers we host. I will try to join. Let me just take care of a few things because I have some stories on Natasha. I want to weigh in on that story.
I want to hear your opinion, Natasha.
Yeah. All right. But again, thank you everybody for joining, and we will go over to the next stream. I share the link on the comment section, so for those who may want to go there. And of course, tomorrow, remember, Chuks 11, it will be interesting. I mean, he had this explosive response to Gowon when Gowon granted an interview a few weeks ago. So he's going to put it all together for us in terms of the history of Nigeria and what we're seeing now. All right. On that basis, I want to thank everybody again. Thank you all, and let's go over to the other